I was jamming out to your music there. Lauren, I can't hear you.
No one can hear me, apparently. Welcome back to This Is
now I
My
can hear
Voices
you.
live on an unplanned community chat. Basically, I had my guest for the weekend cancel, so I figured we'd come on and we just spend a few hours together just talking about whatever's out there. Because I didn't plan on it, there's not really an itinerary for the evening, so I'm going to rely on a good conversation. Right now, I have Al. He was kind enough to jump on early. And I'm hoping that more will join me shortly. So if you're interested in coming on board, look in the chat or in the description under the video. There is, in both places, a link that you can click to join us and talk all things horror. How you doing, Al?
Spooktacular.
Spectacular.
Good introduction music, man. I was spooktacular.
Oh, spook.
I was really jamming to that. That was good introduction music. I'm like, what is this?
Well,
you would have had me on live rocking out to your introduction music.
Well, unfortunately, that wasn't me, but perhaps at some point I'll do something a little bit more organized than my normal noise. But
so there's a photo out, Lauren. I just seen it about an hour ago, and it's Courtney Cox on set from the Scream 5 movie, and she has all red on. She looks great. I mean, she hasn't looked like she aged from the first Scream movie, except her hair is like all black and long now. But yeah, so that was the first official Scream 5 photo. It wasn't nothing, just a picture of Courtney Cox, and she looks exactly the same. Like, I was really shocked, man.
Well, money can buy many things, sir.
Absolutely, yeah. I guess.
Listen, I wish the best on that production. I'm not a Scream fan, but certainly I hope we end up with a good film.
I'm a big fan. I do too.
I just have gotten to be very self-aware that very often as these franchises go on, there is sort of diminishing returns. This is a part 5, so I mean, it's at the point whereas to me they need to shake it up, do something completely different, or at least different enough. And there has to be stakes in the game. The idea that the same cast is going to survive another movie, this is the horror genre. There has to be stakes appropriate to the field. And so if we come out of this film and nothing has changed in the overall story, in the 5-film arc, that'll be a disappointment for me.
Yeah. I think hopefully they get it right. Like I said, we can only hope. I mean, but I don't know. I hope they get it right, and because Scream 4 I did not like at all. I like Scream 3 and I love Scream 1 and 2, but I didn't like 4, and I don't know what they have in store. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. Honestly, man, I'm excited. What did you think about that? I know you said you liked that Texas Chainsaw Massacre poster. Are you excited about the film?
No.
Do you have some faith? A lot of people are
no.
Well, you know what? I do, because I think that as long as I have to see a trailer. That's the thing with me, and I think a lot of people will say, well, just because a trailer doesn't define the movie. No, but there's a lot you can tell by a trailer. Like when the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out, that was a pretty terrifying trailer, and I kind of had an idea what I was in store in. I'm like, okay, and I was right. It was terrifying. Whoa, like, of course, it was a little bit different, but still kind of like the same, but different, but it was still good. It still had that, atmosphere, that the vibe, the feeling, but with Texas Chainsaw 3D, for example, when I seen the poster, I was like, wow, what a poster. And then the trailer dropped, and I'm like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like, it just, the two films just night and day. So hopefully, we'll see what happens when the trailer drops, and, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I just can't get excited about any of the long-running franchises anymore. I just can't. It's just, it would be nice if one of them really surprised me, but it's been a really long time since I've been really surprised by any of these franchises. You know,
Yeah,
the
I can't
last
blame you.
yeah the last Chainsaw film was Leatherface, a film that I consider to be by far the worst.
Please.
It's the worst in the series, but here's the thing: it's not even it's probably tied for my least favorite, but I think it's
Right.
the worst. That Nightmare on Elm Street remake was just atrocious. The Friday 13th remake was fine. It was fine. I like it, but it didn't do anything to make me excited about another one. And Scream, I've just never been a fan of the series. I liked the first one when I first saw it, and I liked it less every time I saw it since, so I stopped watching it. So it's like, they announce, if they were to announce anything that's long running at this point, another Hellraiser film is really happening, despite the fact that every year they announce it and then it never happens, right? I would not be excited. Because at this point, I'm much more excited by Saint Maud or something else that is original. And I saw Unhinged this week. It's a thriller, really, more than a true horror film. Although I'd say it rides the line. It has plot holes galore. I compare it with to the remake of The Invisible Man, right? Which was a great film to look at. It's beautifully shot, beautifully executed, and it has horrible plotting. And this is kind of the same thing. But you know what? It was more exciting for me to see that than to see, because it's new characters in a new situation, than to just have someone try and recapture the lightning in the bottle again on these long-running franchises. I can't. And maybe that's how I feel right now. It could change.
And you know what? I agree with you, Lauren. I really do. And going back to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, yeah, Leatherface should have never been made, and that was just a complete atrocity. And Texas Chainsaw 3D, I was, I had Facebook at the time, so I was in groups. I was connecting with people. At the time, you didn't have this live streaming stuff, but, for 2 years, everybody was like, so is there any new information? Every day, everybody was trying to find information. We had some extras who were actually on the set where they filmed it in Shreveport, Louisiana, and they would come on, not say too much, but try to give some tidbits. And then Dan Yeager, the guy who played Leatherface, he's a nice guy. I met him at Monster Mania. I brought him a cigar actually because he'd always post pictures on Facebook of the kind of cigars he likes. So I said, "Hey Dan, I'm going to bring you this kind of cigar." He's like, "Cool, man." And this was back in 2013, and but when the movie was released, no, when the trailer was released, they released it, I'm like, okay, here we go. And then I click play, and I'm just like, no, this isn't what I thought. No, wait a minute, what's going on here? I was thinking something completely different, and I'm like, what is this? Are you kidding me? So I hope this is not what I'm going to get with Texas next film, that's coming out next year. I just hope they do it right. And I don't know. I just don't know. Because
I just, to me, they have never made a proper Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel. I don't think any of them really in any way live up to the original. And
they were good ones, but they weren't proper. Well, that doesn't mean they were proper, but they were still good, enjoyable.
Sure. But I wonder if the same creative teams allowed to do whatever they wanted without the baggage of making a Texas Chainsaw Massacre film would have had a better chance at creating something a lot more influential and a little bit more for the ages. I like what Hooper did with the second film, but it's not the first film. I don't like the third film pretty much at all. The fourth film is a mess. It's a mess. No matter how much you like it, that movie's not competently made.
I'll touch on that. Go ahead. I'll touch on it. Go ahead.
So I just get to the point where I like the remake fine, but it doesn't have the ferocity or the impact of the original because it's not the original. So I just question why we keep going back to this well. I don't see anything ever capturing that same nature documentary with human beings feel of the first film, which is it was a really specific type of filmmaking made at a time in people's lives when they couldn't have possibly made anything else. You can't artificially try and create that. And I think that that's, in the case of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, why they continually, to one degree or another, fail.
You're right. As far as the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre goes, no. And we've had this discussion before. Nothing will ever touch the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And with that said, that's a masterpiece. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a complete league of its own. It's a masterpiece, and it's always going to be a masterpiece. Part 2, it was more like dark comedy. It wasn't like I didn't, couldn't like they try to make it like a true sequel, but really, like, I mean, come on, compared to the original. And Part 3 was good. Like, I enjoyed Part 3. Like, I think it has its place, like, within the franchise. I like the atmosphere of Part 3. I like the tone and feel of the movie. Especially the uncut version. Where it's a bit more shows more. But then after that, I mean, Next Generation, with respects, like, I thought Robert Jacks, rest in peace. I thought he wasn't like, I don't think, listen, he wasn't the best Leatherface, but I'm not going to sit here and badmouth him, and say he was, listen, they had a budget. He did what he could, I even read people were comparing his Leatherface to Mick Foley, Mick Foley's WWE character, and Renee and the rest of the cast. Like, it wasn't like, I wouldn't say it was terrible, but it was bad. But I still enjoyed it, if that makes sense. I don't know, but it's hard to, it just wasn't, But then everything else after that, like the 2003, I think the two best Texas Chainsaw Massacres, to me, right now, as it stands, I would say is the original and the 2003, because the 2003 one just it captures, like, no, it doesn't like capture that like original feel, but it's as close as it gets compared to all the other films. The grittiness of it, the colorness, the tone of it, that anticipation, leading up to them going in the house, like, it's
It's a Moby track suddenly.
We'll
you're breaking up a little bit. I just,
wait, can you hear me?
I can now. You had descended into a strange experimental techno track for a moment there. I think
the internet connection.
I just would love to see just the amount. I would like to see these productions just re-gear towards a creating something that they really believe in, just as strongly that's original. Because the big prize, the glittering prize, isn't to be making the third best Nightmare on Elm Street film. That shouldn't be the glittering prize. The glittering prize should be to start your own new franchise. Have your own iconic horror work that you created from the ground up. That's what people should be striving for. And I feel like somewhere along the line, the merchandising got out of control. And now it's like the companies want to make a new Halloween or Friday the 13th or Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Scream because they're thinking about the action figures they'll sell. So basically what killed George Lucas is killing the horror genre right now. Yeah. And we need to start focusing back on the movies and the audiences too. And the audiences shouldn't be catered to. We should be entertained. Those are different things. If you just
without us, there's no movies.
Absolutely. But it's also a situation where it's like, I get you don't want to. I get that you don't want to alienate your fan base, but by the same rate, if you just spoon feed your fan base everything they liked last time, they're automatically not going to like your movie because they've seen it before, probably better. Hey Joe, how are you doing?
Oh, not bad. Just jump on here for a moment. Hey, how you doing? What
do you got going tonight?
Not much. Just basically being me.
So wait, no, I'm fascinated. Stop right here. What does a typical Joseph Perdue day look like? What, like, take me through that. I want to experience that vicariously. I'd never want to experience it in real life, but vicariously, I
No
definitely
comment.
can. No, come on, man.
No comment.
What's your day like? A normal day?
Just sitting around the house, just searching on office. Just do the regular stuff, listen to music, surf the web.
Now, I hear that you are kind of encyclopedic about music. Is that true?
Hell yeah.
So, if I was to say to you, for instance, Men at Work Cargo, what year did it come out?
83.
Okay. What was its top chart position?
Oh man.
The highest charting single?
Sure.
Oh, God, there's a couple. I think there's a couple that were top 10. I know it wasn't Down Under. That was from Business as Usual.
Correct. That's why I chose Cargo, because I thought I was going to trip you up.
Overkill?
I think you are correct, sir.
I think that was a top 5, actually.
Frickin' Aussies.
Shit.
So what is your favorite band?
Nico.
AC/DC and...
Nico asked a question. Nico, no. I haven't. Not yet, man. I haven't.
How's he saying?
Nico is asking if any of us have seen the recent streaming Blumhouse anthologies.
Never had, never will.
I have not. Not yet.
Blumhouse don't have a lot of currency with me right now. So I'd have to have a bunch of people come to me and say, "Hey, this thing's awesome. It's really going to surprise you." The fact that Blumhouse, a company that'll put a $3 million film out for regular release, intended these movies for streaming originals, doesn't inspire a lot of confidence for me.
Yeah.
Now maybe they have a different business model in mind, and maybe this is a great film, and they just decided to go this route to try it out. Maybe I could be proven wrong. I'm not really opining about films I haven't seen, but I'm going to need someone to come to me and say, this is worth your time before I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, our friend Daniel is saying that those Blumhouse movies are atrocious. Hey, Daniel, you should come visit us. The link is in the chat.
Yeah, the Halloween 18 movie that came out, it was okay for what it was, but...
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, I know. I'm not comparing it.
I'm not trying to change your opinion on the film. It's just, Halloween films have always, not always, since the fourth film, have had a weird pattern about them. Whereas, and Dan is in the house. A Halloween film comes out. It is loved for the first 2 months it's out, and then people start tearing it down, and over the next 5 years, it falls to the bottom of the list. And this is a pattern that we see over and over and over with this franchise. It just keeps happening.
Yeah.
Dan, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you gentlemen doing?
Well, I wasn't intending to do a stream today, but I had a guest cancel for the weekend, so decided rather than take the whole weekend off, I'm doing this because this will pretty much be my last opportunity to see all you. So I wanted to at least get my voice out there a little bit. And I wouldn't miss the opportunity to ask Joe about music.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your favorite band? Yeah. What's your favorite band, Dan?
Oh, wow. I'm so all over the map with music.
Me too.
If he says Taylor Dane, I'm going to shit myself.
No. I could be shocking and lie, but no, probably.
I like her, but I'm not the judge.
Probably AC/DC. It would be freaky
to
say Taylor Swift or something weird. So I don't think I could pull it off the way I look. So
ain't never loved being a Taylor Swift fan.
There's nothing right about it either, though. That's the problem.
No, there is not.
What the hell happened? Where you at? That Al?
Al has intermitting. He has North Jersey internet. North Philadelphia internet issues. So
yeah, I just actually finished the show myself. I saw you mentioned those Welcome to the Blumhouse movies, and don't do it to yourself. They were all either Bad or just, I mean, I've already kind of forgotten them. So typical Blumhouse.
What happened to that company? Because in like the early part of the last decade, they were putting in the work. They managed to revive the Roger Corman model of don't spend a lot of the movie, spend more on the advertising, get it out there into the theaters, and you're guaranteed a return.
Yeah.
And they actually would say to the writers, okay, you get 6 locations, you can have 8 characters, that's it, figure it out.
Mhm.
And it sounds really repressive, but on the same rate, you as a writer, you're like, but I'm making a movie that's gonna happen.
Yeah. And you can do something more unique, potentially, less risk. They're a weird company because I haven't watched it yet, but I hear this creature feature they did, Sweetheart, I believe it's called, is actually pretty decent. And yet, I mean, no theatrical, nothing.
Not Run, Sweetheart, Run.
No, I believe it's just called Sweetheart, and it's on a beach. I think it's just a girl dealing with a creature, and it's apparently
Definitely.
pretty good.
Because their Run, Sweetheart, Run is airing up to be like, the Room level bad.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. It's going to be it's a movie about I don't even want to go into it, but the trailer's out there. You'll see. It is wearing its politics very much on its sleeve and hilariously on the nose.
It was funny. We were I think on the trivia show we were talking about AMC A-List, and I was in LA with Todd, my producer, and you run out of movies, and we went to see this thing called The Church, thinking it was a horror movie. Bill Moseley was in it, and it was like a Christian propaganda movie, and it was
awesome.
Yeah.
You're hoping for the Michelle Soave film, and you.
Yes, well, yeah, we knew it was new, and I was like, oh, maybe it's a remake, and
no such luck.
No such.
I always confuse The Church and The Sect. I always think they're the same film, and they're not.
Yeah, it's a shame he stopped making films. I think took care of his mom or something like that. I don't remember what the story was, but he just kind of dropped off, and it's too bad.
It was weird because as an actor, he kept showing up in things in the early part of the 80s, and then he was a major director in Italy in that last half.
Yeah,
bizarre. But I mean, people don't realize. I go, the guy next to the girl who vomits up his intestines in City of the Living Dead. That's the guy who would make Delamore Delamorte. There you go.
Yeah, I was gonna mention Lauren on Region 3 last night about the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown. You were right on the money. It's
disturbing.
It's saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And apparently Apple TV just broke this into a million fucking pieces.
Well, like I said on the show, I mean, I'm not a big fan of children's entertainment. That's not what this is about. This isn't like a sacred title to me necessarily.
I know. It's just
although clearly if you say the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown, that's going to mean more to me than say their Christmas special, right? Because of my personality and where I grew up and what I believe. But my thing is, at a certain point, we have to make a determination that some things are just sacred in our society.
That's what I was getting at. It's like,
yeah, and I can't stop thinking that there's some kid living on the south side of Boston whose parents are scraping it together that does not have anything more than a digital receiver on top of their television set, getting whatever broadcast is still out there, because which it can't be much, right? Who's not going to see Great Pumpkin this year? And maybe they've seen it before, maybe they haven't, but damn it, I want that option out there for kids, because those are the type of titles that are touchstones for them to become us.
I think of all the years to take it away to 2020, where you need that, tradition with every.
It's one of the few things that people, no matter where they come from, could all rally around.
Something positive and water negative. That's why I see it as. It's just.
Were they pulling? I never heard why they were pulling it. I just heard it was not airing. Was there controversy over that now, or?
I don't think so.
It's just.
And they were fucking talking about the whole Thanksgiving thing about Franklin past couple of years, and I'm like, come on, really?
Well, I mean, here it was simply Apple had a title that they own the rights to. They bought it in a package deal from, I believe actually the rights are actually still with CBS, even though it's been airing on ABC. There's a lot of titles that end up like that. I know that's weird, but the television exhibition is a weird business.
Oh yeah.
And so CBS like shuttled it over to Apple with a bunch of other properties because they weren't airing it. So why not sell the rights to a higher bidder? And
go ahead.
And Apple simply decided, I guess, that it was an okay idea to put it on a service that the penetration on the market is like 8%.
If you can go on archive.org, you'll find some of that stuff on there, which is fine. The Charlie Brown Thanksgiving.
You're right, but my point is that kid in the south side of Boston doesn't have a computer at home either.
Exactly, but
it's not about access for me and you just feeling nostalgic and warm and fuzzy. It's about like as a society, who the fuck are we?
Oh yeah, I get that.
You need as much.
I think we're still trying to figure that out, Lauren.
Now, I was getting ready to say you can find the Charlie Brown Thanksgiving that literally aired from 1973, commercials and all, which I thought was kind of cool. But
I've been saying this. You know what? You guys know very well that I am not a special features guy. I don't give a crap. Give me the movie, looking and sounding as good as you can. That's it. That's all I want. Don't give me documentaries. Make them a separate thing. Put them online. Charge for them online for the people who want. I don't care. Whatever. But drop the price on discs and give me the movies looking great, and that's it. But I'll tell you one thing that it would be valuable to me is, for instance, all the ABC bumpers from when they premiered a lot of these movies. That stuff would be priceless to me. More so than having an actor who didn't really want to be in one of these movies go, yeah, I was in My Bloody Valentine. It was a paycheck. Why am I watching this?
Yeah.
But give me all the vintage marketing materials. Yeah, I'm all about that. Not to the point where I want them to raise prices on the disc, but I think you could corral that stuff pretty cheaply as opposed to producing new stuff.
I like the idea, and I always have, because I do think they need to bring the price down if they, want to milk a few more years out of physical media, of charging $10 for a disc, for an extra disc for people that want it, make it exclusive to your website, and the ones that don't care. I actually think that could work.
I said this back when I was working in the music business, and we were going through exactly what's going on now with movies. I always said the living album was my concept. Like you buy the CD and I always thought the $12 price point was perfect. It's fair because most albums have 12 songs on them. So $12, you buy it, right? And what happens is then you would have the option to maybe pay an additional $3 to $5, whatever. And then you'd get live performances and other things opened up whenever you played that disc in your computer. Like you would open up a website that's that band. That was the key it would unlock. And as long as that album was still the current album, you'd get remixes in the case of more like electronic things, or live performance demos, maybe interviews with the band if they want. Make it a living album. Like for the people who just want the album, $12. You're done. For the people who want that, who are big fans, maybe you could even say 20. I don't know. Back then I thought $5 made sense because full line at that point, which is the most.
I see one of them $17.99. I see one of them $5 greatest hits from these bands at Walmart. It's like, man.
Yeah. Well, that whole business fell apart for a lot of reasons, and the big one was the biggest reason the music industry fell apart wasn't. You see, piracy was the means by which it fell apart.
Absolutely.
But it wasn't the reason it fell apart. The reason it fell apart is that the business stopped listening to the consumers. When the consumers said two things. A, the CDs are getting too expensive. Madonna Ray of Light came out at an $18.99 price point.
Oh yeah.
Okay? It was too much. The other thing is they made singles either completely unavailable, whereas you could just simply not buy a single that was on the album, or they made it available for 2 weeks and then discontinued it. So if you wanted to buy that hot track that you wanted, you had to buy the whole really $20 album after tax in most states, right? And the consumer were saying loud and clear, we don't want to do that. So then the service called Napster appears. People had a way to just get that one track. They weren't trying to bootleg the whole album.
Napster.
They weren't trying. They weren't. It all started very innocently. It started with, I just want the one track, and I don't want to have to record it off of radio.
Exactly. That's how I am.
So at that point, we went to the North American Recording Merchants Association meeting, and we said to the labels, like, you're killing us by not making singles available. You're absolutely murdering us. And their whole thing is they said, well, what are they really going to do? The whole attitude was, they'll be back. This is like music clubs, 10 discs for a penny through the mail. It's only going to be a small part of the industry. Don't worry. Well, guess what? They didn't change their ways in enough time, and the industry fell into chaos.
Yeah.
This is going to happen with movies, too.
Yeah,
it's absolutely going to happen to movies. And physical media needs to wake up that $30 price points on movies is ridiculous. That special editions are feeding a niche. I mean, we all feel great when a special edition of something we like comes out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the downside is all the people who would discover the movie as a blind buy, if it was a $10 disc, aren't buying that movie.
Exactly.
So while we're feeding our egos, the next generation of fans are getting just taken out of the loop, or they're going and finding ways to get it illegally, which is not real hard to do. I see the exact same pattern as I saw back in 1998 today.
Yeah, I at this point, all I can really do is just hope that it's not too late. I suspect it's getting close to being too late, but I still think that I don't know if it could be like a vinyl resurgence, like it'll go away and then come back when people miss actually having a physical thing, on their shelf. That's kind of my hope at this point, because I get it, there are things that I will pay $30 for to have the special features, but I'm probably now in the 1% on that, sadly. And
probably the only thing I'll be getting that perspective is TV shows. As long as there are TV shows coming out, DVD ain't going nowhere. Movies, yes, very likely.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. It's just there is something about holding something in your hand. Now, I don't know. I'll be honest. I have young nieces and nephews who only my oldest is even going to remember probably physical media at this point.
Yeah, I have a middle nephew that'll be turning 8 tomorrow, so
yeah. Happy birthday, nephew.
Yeah.
Dakota Blake Evans.
Got to get them all into physical media.
They're getting like the horror. It's just like they love it.
I miss VHS. I was always a VHS guy, to be honest with you guys. Like I missed VHS.
Oh well, I have an older nephew that tells me what is VHS, and with my autism, it's hard to explain it.
Lauren knows the good old days. Remember Lauren walking in that mom and pop shop, going right to the horror section?
I can tell you, I don't think I've ever told this story. The first time I walked into my first video store. So
really?
Business. And I just cut myself with that knife, by the way.
Oh,
but
suck that blood.
I'm fine.
That's ballsy.
Hold on.
No, I'm fine. I walk into the video store. We'd been saving up for a VCR because the whole deal with my parents was me and my sister had to pay for half of it. And these were not cheap machines. This was like a year and a half of us doing, mowing lawns in my case, and my sister doing babysitting and other. And I think my sister ultimately contributed more than I did, but I mean, she was also a little bit older, so she had the ability to contribute a little bit more. So we were really proud when the day we brought home that VCR and hooked it up. It was like awesome. Now we have to go have something to play in it because we didn't. So we walked into the video store. It was called Popcorn Video, and they named because they popped popcorn all day and gave you a free bag of popcorn. You walked in the door, whether you rented something or not.
That's pretty cool, man.
Very cool. And everyone, of course, would say, "Oh, the smell of the store." And I don't have a sense of smell, so I never got to experience that. But
was this like the late 70s, early 80s or something?
It was 1985.
Wow, man.
Wow.
Even those VCRs were fucking expensive when they
I
started.
was 2 years
Like,
old, in '85.
like almost $1,000.
So I walked into the store, and this is you're gonna laugh at this, you really will, but you got to remember the time period.
Mm-hmm.
I walked into the store and I looked at the walls, and I didn't grasp that every box I saw was a movie. I thought that was advertising.
Yeah.
I couldn't get my head around the idea that I was surrounded by a couple, and that at that point probably 4,000 movies. It wasn't a huge store, you know. It wasn't like a Blockbuster where there's, you know. But I couldn't. And then, like when it was kind of explained to me, I still was like, no. Let's ask the guy. Let's ask, because there's no way that Psycho's just sitting over there. That's not, no. You tell me I could walk home and watch Psycho. I don't have to wait a year and a half for it to show back up on television. No, that's silly. Like I remember feeling lightheaded, like as if I'd eaten too much cotton candy that day.
Wow.
It didn't seem possible. It didn't seem real. Back when I was growing up properly, I would get the TV Guide every week, the free one that came in the mail, not the one you paid for.
Of course.
And I would circle everything I wanted to watch. Now keep in mind, no VCR,
no VCR,
no DVRs, no recording it.
No.
So
you had to be there.
I know what it's like.
So I'd get excited, like something like would be on the air, right? And I'd be like, "That's the movie where the guy turns into the snake." I got to, you know, I'd seen it once before, but that was a year ago. It was a big deal, and the idea of walking into a store, and I don't understand why I didn't relate it to a library, because that seems so obvious to me now, but I didn't. That didn't seem possible. Movies, library, that's not possible.
My best memories in life were first going to the video store, and my parents traveled a lot. So it didn't matter where we could be going to Disney World. All right, that's cool, but I want to see what video stores are around, and I would go into the mall, and that's one thing that makes me sad about younger people today. It's like they won't have that sense of magic where you go down those aisles, particularly the mom and pops.
Oh,
and you know, anything you might pick up might be the next most amazing thing you've ever seen. And I don't know, that sense of magic, I just don't think they're going to have it. And I know I'm sounding old now complaining about the kids these days speech, but
damn kids.
Join the club.
Damn, Jonathan, what's going on, man?
What up, y'all?
Hey.
Bombastic.
Yeah.
Talking video store memories. Mine was
The good old
Sunbird.
VHS days, man. Nothing beats them.
Yeah, me too.
My parents actually owned a pizzeria / video store when I was growing up.
That sounds awesome.
You were probably there all the time.
Yeah, I pretty much grew up there, but they had two of them, so I got to feel like one of them was a video store and a pizza place, and the other one was an arcade and a pizza place.
Oh shit!
That's awesome, man.
I had a very fun childhood.
Man.
Oh, that's awesome. I
would have been sitting there watching the horror movies, eating pizza.
Yeah.
We didn't get a lot of horror movies, actually. It was kind of sad.
What?
It was kind of a small store, and it was like another video, like a local chain, kind of like had their like a little franchise in there. And
Like
we kind of got scrapped,
regional.
man. Yeah.
Regional.
Well, also, the other thing to keep in mind is, especially in those early days, like whether the stores that had the back room, you know, with the curtains, they were controversial. That was not okay by most community standards. That was real.
Yeah, that was
touchy, and even horror films were just right outside that curtain, guys. That's where they always were.
That's why the porn was, baby.
So it wasn't easy if you wanted to be a mom and pop to necessarily go there. Did your family's store have a room?
We did not have a room, and we also did. None of the stores in my town had one. So, not until Family Video came in, like in 2008, did we get a porn section in a movie rental.
Yeah, I remember those curtains as a kid going to like these old mom stores, and I knew that was the naughty room.
Sometimes there was the saloon doors, and because I went through a lot of it. There's pictures of me at old video stores, and once in a while there was one, I want to say in Louisiana, and I don't remember what it was called, but you actually went down into a basement, which was the shadiest thing to go to the adult. And I learned that Scream Queen Hot Tub Party, which is not an adult film, had the dreaded adult sticker on it. And I had a crush on Brink Stevens, and I couldn't see that because it had the adult sticker on it, and it broke my heart.
I remember that when like a regular movie would get the 18 plus rental only.
Yeah.
I remember when Striptease came out with Demi Moore.
Yeah.
That was a hot item.
Man.
Oh, that was huge. Showgirl.
What was that movie, Jonathan, with that girl from Saved by the Bell?
If I owned,
What was that one called?
If I owned a video store, I would have put that sticker on everything.
Whew. That's another good one.
It's a bad movie, but it's really entertaining.
Back to horror, guys. Back to horror.
I think it made it rent better. Just like you had Demi Moore sitting on the cover, kind of naked. It's 18 plus. I remember my parents rented it, and I wasn't allowed in the living room that night.
Yeah.
I always remember when the self-titled Liz Phair album came out, and the initial package was there was two ways it was available. You could buy it without the packaging, but there was a cardboard box that went around it, and because it was clearly her like posed nude, but you couldn't see anything. Unlike her first album on Matador, whereas if you just opened up the booklet, you could.
Mm-hmm.
But like they made this big thing, like everyone like was like peeling back. I was constantly going over going, don't destroy the product until you buy it. And it's not going to be that exciting anyway. So, But I will tell you one thing I do think I really miss about video stores, though. I belong to about 5 video stores. Everything like local there was, I belonged to because everyone had something different.
Yeah,
I'm that way too. I was that way too.
I think I knew every employee in every
West
store.
Coast Video, Blockbuster.
I knew every employee in every
Video.
store because it was impossible not to start just talking movies.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Besides what we're doing right now, that
especially horror.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's not just the movie experience may be the same, but you don't get that. So I mean, I made friends at video stores. I still remember local the guys that would check me out and usually were kind because they'd let me rent certain things I probably wasn't supposed to rent at that point. And yeah, I don't know. It's just like everything. It's like they're just making it so we're just in our houses all the time. I don't know. I still like to go and I wish I could still go and actually pick something up, but I don't know if they've survived the situation in the world, but Atlanta still has a place you can rent movies called Videodrome. So yeah, it is.
That's awesome.
I actually still have my original mom and pop video store in my town. Star Trek's Videos
survived. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's doing as well as it can, right? But
yeah,
they still rent VHS. So
cool.
they never cleared anything out from the whole time they've been there. So if you want to watch Star Trek: The Next Generation on VHS, like you want to watch a couple episodes, it's back there. You can go get it.
Where's that at? I might give my mind down there.
John, do they have like an actual horror section too?
They still have the horror section. Yeah, everything's for sale. Nice. Everything you can buy anything in the store. So any of like the cool horror VHS, I've tried to buy, right? And it's usually like $5 or whatever, but. It's cool. You can still go. Death Spa is still there on VHS.
No, nice.
I want to say, Jess, how are you, sir?
Classics.
Good.
How was dinner?
How about yourself? It's good. Nothing fancy. Just some tuna sandwiches and chips.
That's a serial killer meal if I've ever heard one.
I was getting ready to
say. When I was watching your Resurrection Autopsy.
I appreciate that.
I was getting ready to say.
Going back, I used to work at a video store. You? Joe Bob?
What? I was getting ready to say that who rented video games at a rental store? I know I did.
Never once.
I had.
Back when I played video games.
Yeah.
When I had
I see
every
y'all
system,
nodding.
it's like 90,
Most of them were just bought.
93,
Yeah.
92.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
had
was
every system back in 1992. Every system.
shit. I saw Jonathan nod. I'm like, yeah, you know it.
I have this reoccurring fantasy that should exist, and maybe you guys can help me make it exist.
Okay.
And it's not what you're thinking. I really believe that the idea of a movie swap meet would be a thing for today. That would be like an incredible
sweet.
thing for us. Because all this old media has to be out there somewhere, right? I mean, if someone organized a swap meet just built around media,
Oh yeah.
huge.
Flea markets. Good God.
I mean,
That
the
would be
stuff that's
cool.
expensive would still be expensive.
Whatever happened to them?
I was just gonna
for
say,
sure.
wouldn't that make it a bit more expensive if they did? We did
I wouldn't mind.
Well, yeah, but you could always pick up stuff that like isn't expensive that you've always kind of been meaning to pick up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just it would work out.
That
I would probably enjoy it
$5
more as
big-ass
just
spider.
sort of like a mini convention. Yeah.
I think like a
You know,
convention.
You know what, Jess? You're right. You know, especially like with
Swap.
horror fans, you're right. Because we wouldn't just swap. We'd sit there, we would talk, just like we're doing now. You know, and yeah, I think that's a good idea, Lauren. I mean, I wonder if it's going on anywhere.
Really?
I don't know.
You can probably find some good shit there. I know Wet Movie did a few times.
I mean, you'd have to be careful. All the vendors would have to have a policy where you're not selling bootlegs because that you'll get the whole place shut down.
That's a big no. Exactly.
Which they do at Monster Mania at horror conventions. You get so much
Dude, every
bootlegs
they
and other
do.
stuff.
Every
Yeah.
convention.
I've never been to a convention,
yeah.
but I know that story.
Yeah.
I know that.
There's always that one guy with a booth that has everything.
Yeah,
The only time I would find that
1,000
acceptable for a
movies,
bootleg
DVDs.
is if you couldn't get, there was a certain title you couldn't get, and this is a horrible example, but the Star Wars Holiday Special or just any unreleased movie. Yeah, like
like that.
the producer's cut.
Nice job.
I preferred it this way.
Well, let me ask you: does that have the full hallway crawl at the beginning that the producer's cut that they released on official release does not have?
It does with the timestamp and the ticker and everything. Yep. I prefer it this way, man. I felt like I wasn't supposed to see it.
Right. I mean, listen, I own a lot of things that weren't available through alternative means. But, I mean, the thing is, I think when you kind of double down and say, okay, we're going to release this unreleased thing, you just got to get it right.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, the whole point of upgrading from your bootleg is kind of pointless. Yeah, the quality of the legal disc is better, but come on. Part of the fun was getting crappy cards that you weren't supposed to be able to have.
I agree.
And you tell your friend, like, you seen Halloween 6? Yeah. But have you seen the producer's cut? Got this underground, dude.
Exactly,
I could go to jail for having this, dude.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Did anybody hear about that Rocktober Blood controversy where they put out a Blu-ray and it was $60 and it was just the VHS rip? Yeah,
I heard that story.
I haven't. No. What happened? Man? What was the story behind it?
Well, it wasn't. I think it was official. I want to say it was the filmmaker's son.
It was
official.
Yes, the mother and the son. I think the father's dead, right? The director.
I believe so. I literally just reviewed that movie, and it came up that $60, and people were furious because they got it, and it's identical to the VHS.
Just a VHS.
Wasn't that film in 84?
84, yes.
I remember that movie. It's on YouTube.
Yeah,
that's kind of where it belongs.
Yes. Yes.
It's not a great movie, but it's kind of a guilty pleasure.
Guys, I have an interesting question for you.
Shoot.
I was thinking about it on the ride home because I saw that this was going on. I was like, shit, I'm going home. I'm gonna go talk movies. But anyways, did anybody else? What were you gonna say, Lauren?
You see, I just make I'm so scheduled and so like predictable that I do something like this, and everyone's like, "What's going on? Is he dying?"
Lauren's dead.
No, man, it's horror, baby. Yeah.
And this doesn't necessarily pertain to horror, but did anybody else's high school have like a film appreciation class?
No.
I used to bring Godzilla in all the time.
Intro to film, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, we were watching Casablanca,
Godzilla
Godfather,
Oh,
on the
I used to
waterfront.
bring Godzilla movies.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, what did they have you watch, and what would you show if you could make the curriculum?
Well, I'll tell you something funny.
Well, I didn't have it in high school, John. I had it. Go ahead, Lauren. Go ahead.
So I didn't get to control that class at all. However, there was another class that was run by a senile English teacher. And because I passed all my English classes without basically showing up. Now keep in mind, I was a D student otherwise, but English was my thing. She kind of let me kind of like almost be a teacher's assistant. And there was a day when she like just kind of left halfway through the day. And I'd explain to her that I would just show a movie about the how the novel Frankenstein got written to the class, and she seemed completely cool with that. So I showed him Gothic.
Oh wow!
Oh, nice.
We got to the big orgasmic blowjob sequence, and a teacher's aide walked by the door, and I've never seen anyone fly so quickly into a room to turn something off.
Shit.
Ken Russell for the win.
That's hilarious.
We had kind of like a big controversy surrounding my arts and humanities class because that teacher did not give a shit, and it was basically like, "Hey, movies are art, right?" And so she showed Seven, which I love Seven, and I'm cool with. And
that's a pretty gory movie, man.
So
crazy. We watched the laser disc of Seven in like 45-minute increments over like a couple days. And like day 2, I think somebody's mother had complained, so we did not get to finish 7.
Oh god damn!
Did the snitch get taken out back and beaten or what? Because
I know
shouldn't be telling your parents what
I know who it was, and I think he disapproved too. So
usually the teachers just gave like a permission. The parents had to fill out a permission slip that you.
This was totally an unsanctioned thing. She's like, "Hey, I like 7. You guys want to fucking watch 7?" Like,
I remember one time.
A cool teacher.
One of my class to watch Twister. One of my teachers wanted to see it, and next day she's like, "This movie got too much cussing." And it's a PG-13 movie. I'm like, and my mom like, "What the fuck's wrong with you, cunt?"
There you go.
Exactly. I'm like,
Lauren, if you were doing Ken Russell,
god damn.
If you were doing Ken Russell, you should have just went for the Devils. If you're gonna get in trouble, just go out swinging.
Only if I can get the full true uncut with the Rape of Christ sequence.
Oh god. Now I'll be the floodgates opening like crazy with that.
Whatever. I love Gothic. I think Gothic is an amazing, amazing film. I think Gabriel Byrne is like truly evil in that movie.
Yeah.
He's a guy that just doesn't get the credit he deserves. He's one of the great actors of that generation, and he just flies right under the radar, man. I've said this a million times, and you guys are probably tired of it, but he is the star of Hereditary because he holds that goddamn movie together. Because Toni Collette's great, but when she starts to go off the deep end, you need someone to anchor, and he anchors brilliantly. Everyone else is kind of wild in that movie, and he has to be the straight man. That's a hard role.
Yeah, and he's kind of quietly heartbreaking in that too. There's just his face at times. I mean, you can just
how he talks to his son.
Yeah,
because he knows his wife doesn't even like his son.
Yeah,
so like, hey, buddy. But it's like it's simple dialogue, but he imbues it with such amazing pathos. It's just so good.
Yeah, it's like Nothing I Can Do. He played that Alex Wolff's father on some HBO show or something too. Ironically, if you're a fan of Byrne, because he makes so many great movies that nobody ever sees, not just in the horror genre, but
he's great.
Yeah.
But we should be talking about, when we talk about people like Oldman and people like Denzel Washington, we should be throwing him in that pile.
I love Gary Oldman.
I love Gary Oldman too, and I love Denzel Washington. I think the two of them are the top of the current acting crop, period. And I get worried because I see someone like James Patterson, who I think could be the like inheritor of that. So you watch Lighthouse, he's phenomenal.
Robert Pattinson.
Robert, not James. Sorry.
Yeah.
Lauren loves it so much.
Speaking of Pattinson, I think,
it's true.
I think he and Omen were in a couple of the Harry Potter films. Not
But
mistaken.
see, that's what I'm worried about for him, though. These guys are corrupted because they are in these big studio projects. I mean, I think Batman might derail him. Not that he won't do well in it.
He's built up a lot of goodwill, though. I mean, I think if he does Batman, does a couple smaller films, another Batman, because what turned me around for him was a Good Time.
Yes,
that movie was so good.
I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
Same guy that the same brother, the Safadi brothers that did the
Uncut Gems.
Uncut Gems, yes, Adam Sandler.
Oh, really?
It's a very good movie.
That was a good movie. Yeah.
I have great things about Uncut Gems.
Probably one of Adam Sandler's best films.
Oh, it's
that's not a real hard challenge. I mean,
I'm gonna go ahead and say it. It is Adam Sandler's best film.
I think that's pretty safe, and I haven't seen it.
The movie was great.
I hate Adam Sandler, like with a passion.
Hey, man,
that's the only reason I haven't seen it.
Dude,
why, Lauren? Why do you hate him?
I'm not a comedy guy, and I hate stretch face comedy. Like your Jim Carreys and your Adam Sandlers, and those guys drive me nuts because it's not funny. It's not friggin' funny in the least.
Jack and Jill. Oh my god, that movie's fucking horrible.
I do want to say, like, we can all agree Adam Sandler movies of the last 20 years at least have been terrible by any measure. Uncut Gems is so good that it kind of makes you forget about it for a minute. And his performance is so good.
I was actually surprised.
He's good in Wedding
Singer
too.
Surprised.
Go ahead.
He's actually filming here in Philadelphia. I don't know what they're filming, but it was on the news.
He'll die soon.
You know. Yeah, I mean, hopefully not, but I mean, you know, they're making a movie. I don't know what I have to.
You watched Stoopy Halloween?
I watched Hubie Halloween or whatever.
I don't know what that is.
It's his newest Netflix movie because it seemed like it would be cute for a kid, and I thought Ripley would like it, but she hated it too.
Yeah.
So it was just awful.
She's 3. It looked very Ernest Scared Stupid-esque.
If a 3-year-old hates that kind of movie, that says something.
There are, I will say, it's not getting a lot of attention, but has anybody else watched Mortuary Collection on Shudder? That's a very good anthology horror film.
Actually, it's the second time someone suggested
I haven't, Dan. I have Shudder. I haven't yet. I have Shudder. I just haven't gotten around to it.
And I guess I should just thank all you guys and the 30-some people in the audience that are watching for hanging out with me rather than Joe Bob Briggs tonight. So thank you.
Oh shit, Joe Bob's on? Later, man.
I was waiting for that.
Knew that would happen.
Who's Joe? Guys, all jokes aside, who's Joe Bob Briggs?
What?
God damn.
That was a mic drop right there.
Damn. Are you bullshitting?
I mean, I'm not a regular watcher, but I definitely have known who he is for years
if
now.
Al is serious, Al
What
does
the
need to
fuck,
go
Al?
and watch.
He's coming back. He's coming back.
Maybe he's coming back.
Al,
everybody just went blank.
You're kidding, right, Al?
I honestly, no.
I mean, you're not even aware of
who's
what
Joe Bob
is.
Okay, Dan, do me a favor.
Yeah.
Lie to Al and give him the story of Joe Bob Briggs.
Lie to him.
No, I'm serious. I don't know. Is he like an actor or a YouTube type of horror channel? Like, I don't know. I'm serious. I'm not even joking.
This makes me sad, Al.
Monster Vision.
You never saw Monster Vision? You're probably.
Okay. Monster. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I thought he was like some kind of like somebody who just has like a horror community type of chat. All right. Okay. Yeah, I had a little.
In many ways, he is the guy who bridged the traditional horror host with what we do today.
Yeah.
He's an important link in that chain. He's also a guy who made all of us who kind of liked films like Chopping Mall that are not objectively good films, but are charming as all hell. He kind of made it okay. He made us feel like, you know what? We're not that weird person out there. There's actually a bunch of us weird people out there.
He tweaks it up.
Every Friday night, Joe Bob Briggs would show me another classic. And that's what I'll always remember is all the movies I watched for the first time on Monster Vision.
Oh, yeah.
I think I remember one time that he talked about Massive Overdrive. But you can find some of those clips on YouTube. It's just like, hell, my name is Joe Bob Toyhill. Because
did anybody like Trucks?
Carolina Athletics.
What?
Are you talking about the original short story or that crappy cable adaptation?
I've seen it. It's
Trucks, yes.
It's so predictable.
Yeah,
it's so predictable.
The short story is a lot of fun in Night Shift. Yes.
I've heard it.
It's never been adapted.
Timothy Busfield, man, that movie was just really dull and predictable. And like, what the fuck am I watching? I'd rather watch Bassam Overdrive.
Oh man, I like Trucks.
I mean, it's a decent. It could have been good, but just like, I don't know. It just.
I like killer car movies.
I remember it terrified me. Yeah, it terrified me as a kid. I used to watch as a kid. I was so scared.
Wait, you watched Truck as a kid? How young are you?
Who you talking
no, I'm 37, but
I watched
Trucks. The was it 80s or 90s it came out? The killer Trucks. You know, the
are you thinking of the car?
90s, okay, yeah.
The car with Josh.
The car was 1977.
Yeah, Trucks was like late 90s.
Yeah, I'm thinking like 98 or something.
Yeah, 98, 99. Yeah.
97.
Yeah.
Timothy Busfield.
Maybe I'm thinking about the 70s. I don't know. I have to revisit both films.
So
it's been a while.
I can never resist doing this, but so because you mentioned an early Stephen King work, Trucks. So this is a copy of Shadows, the Charles L. Grant anthology.
Oh, nice.
That this and a book a little bit later called Dark Forces were two anthologies that did a lot of work towards getting King's reputation in place. The Shadows Anthology, although not this particular book, which I did not own, and I'll explain why, were instrumental for me loving horror more than any film. Like this series of books was what hooked me, because I found them at I found that in yard sales slowly over the years, and they're just amazing. And if you look at who's in the book, obviously Stephen King is the big name now, but I mean, you have Ramsey Campbell, you have Tom Monteleone, you have Robert Bloch, you have Dennis Etchison, you have Ramsey Campbell again, you have Phil Perzini, you have Michael Bishop. Amazing. Like this is all the big late 70s, early 80s guys in one place. This book was put out by Playboy.
Playboy?
Yes, Playboy was the most respected commercial publisher of short fiction in America. They were, people don't realize this, but they were the highest paying market. They were paying 10 cents a word to writers. So it was a big deal to get into Playboy. And they supported the horror genre. And so how far have we fallen that today? Like you can't, there's no outlet for short stories really that are paid say anything. But you know, you go back a while, one of the most culturally important icons of all time of Americana, the Playboy Bunny, was associated with the horror genre proudly enough to be releasing.
We did buy it for the articles, damn it.
Yeah, you know, I've never owned a copy of Playboy.
There is some truth. They had good articles. They really did.
I didn't know there were words in those magazines.
That's not why we bought them.
I don't think I've ever read a Playboy, but
I've never
some of the
read
older
one.
ones.
I've never read one. I promise you that.
I don't remember when that went away. I guess by the 90s, I was pretty much.
Yeah, but when internet was getting
guys,
started.
I guess now that we're on the subject of Playboy, women were so much more better looking in like the 80s and 90s than they are today.
You ain't kidding.
Not touching that.
I mean,
I can't. You know what? I'm not going to say that. But what I am going to say is that
think Cindy Crawford, and then look at the women today. Like,
you see, you want my sensibilities? You have to go much further back still.
How far back, Lauren? How far back?
Late 30s.
1930.
So I'll take Aquanetta. I'll take
absolutely.
Simone Simon. I will take. I mean, these women were
Lanchester.
I will have them all.
Well, Elsa could take you, but here's the thing: Elsa could take you in arm wrestling too. So I'm not completely sure about Elsa.
I'm not sure what her name was, but the lead from Creature from the Black Lagoon. That woman is stunningly
Julie Adams.
Julie Adams. Yeah.
Yes.
God, she's gorgeous.
Oh man,
unbelievable. But I mean, I look today and I see there are women that I think, and we're talking movie stars. We're talking like, it's not reality, but
yeah.
No Marge Simpson.
I mean, I really do look and I see my Christina Ricci's and I see my Tapsi Panus and I'm blown away. I'm like, wow, this reminds me of when women actually not only were beautiful, but they looked like people.
Exactly. When women were women.
Well, I like looking at someone and knowing they lived a life. And problem is, like, Hollywood has this image of perfection and beauty in which it looks like they came out of a test tube or a pod under their bed. And that's not beauty to me. That's a real big turnoff. That's why the Nicole Kidmans of the world don't work for me. No. Because they don't look like real people who've lived real lives.
I mean, you can tell they have had a little bit of plastic surgery and perspective at times. Like, come on.
It's a crime. It's a crime to me that like Angela Bettis hasn't done more work. Not that she hasn't, but not a lot of movies really. If you look at her filmography, and she's fantastic.
It was familiar. Did she do that Tina Turner movie?
No, she was in May. Is probably what she's most known for. The Woman.
Oh, I must be thinking of it.
That Carrie television production.
I think Lucky McKee.
Yeah. Yeah, she just did a new one called 12-Hour Shift. It's more of a dark comedy, but it's a little gruesome. It's pretty good. Yeah.
I know this is going to sound sick, but do you ever think about jacking off to those pictures in Playboy?
No.
Me neither. I would never do that.
That's a question for Lauren, not one else.
Oh, fuck.
Jess dipped out on that one.
I'm not sure where we go with that.
I know. I saw an article the other day, Lauren, that made me think of you. Scarlett Johansson cast as the Bride of Frankenstein.
I don't necessarily. Well, it's kind of the Bride of Frankenstein. It's not a Universal production. I'm not completely against that. That doesn't sound like.
Honestly, it sounds okay in my head. Like, I think she'd do okay.
Execution. How was she executed?
Dude, she ain't got that hair. I'm out though.
Yeah.
Every screenplay that I've seen for an attempt to reboot Bride does not include the hair, and I think that's a mistake.
Of course. I mean, I forgot that actress's name. It's like she is the Bride of Frankenstein.
I'll tell you what's going to fail though about it. They're not a lot of these modern. Well, most of them are really more supernatural action films. But you'll get Frankenstein, and it's Aaron Eckhart, and he's got like one scar on his face, and they completely take out the tragedy in the character, and it's just. I don't know. I feel like it's just going to be Scarlett Johansson with a scar on her face or something. I don't know.
It'll be that she can put her hair over.
Yeah, right? yeah. Supermodel.
The last time they tried something Frankenstein, it was a big clusterfuck.
So I know you guys probably don't know Tapsi Panu, so that's Tapsi Panu.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, Game Over. You talk about.
I was about to say, I bet she's in Game Over.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Oh wow.
So you know what the weird thing is? In 2018, Tapsi Panu and Nayathara, who were both huge Indian movie stars, right? Both were in competing films that were supposed to be released the same day that were both really upscale slashers, right? So they were head to head.
Okay.
And this was a big deal. Like people were like, first of all, these kind of films don't get made. And now you have these high profile actresses in it. This year, they're both shooting remakes of a South Korean film called Blind, but not the same movie. So they're like head to head again in the genre. It's crazy.
Nuts.
Did you ever watch Mondo Macabro put them out, those Bollywood horror collections? And I forget the name off the top of my head, but the Nightmare on Elm Street, their version of Nightmare.
Calicuti.
That sounds, or something like that. Yeah, it's really interesting to watch it.
The 60s and 70s weren't particularly kind to Indian horror. They're fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Bollywood, what's called Bollywood Exorcist, is probably my favorite of the bunch because it goes between being too literally a remake of The Exorcist and just being completely out of control. But in the South, in India now, especially the Tamil speaking portion of the country, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's made it a problem for me when something like Underwater or 47 Meters Down on Cage comes out, because I look at those films and I go, are they even friggin' trying?
Exactly.
Because you can't look at these films that are just beautifully well made, really well executed films with great acting from overseas, and then go look at what we're doing. Same thing with Indonesia at the moment. Indonesia is like so on fire, and then I look at what we do and I'm like, we need to fix this. We're like,
exactly.
I think the different cultural perspective also helps it feel fresh. Even if it's a similar story, it's just, I don't feel like I'm watching the same movie I've watched 10 times in the last.
It's kind of like Let the Right One In, even though that's a Swedish film. When you look at that movie, it's like the subtitles are optional to me, because it's just. God, if I can make Lauren laugh, I've done my job.
Do you just make up your own dialogue then?
He does it as he goes along, man.
Yeah,
not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. I do that with Narcos. Like, I get tired of reading, and I'm like, I get it. It's drugs.
That's amazing.
But Let Me In, I'll say Let Me In is not bad.
Let Me In is incredible.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It is, but it's like
Let the Right One In is a better film.
Oh God, yeah.
Let the Right One In, yeah.
But I think both films are really strong, and I think unfortunately comparison and when you come to one over the other first is going to paint you into a corner. It's what happens with Ringu and Ring, although I think Ringu is very superior.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But once someone saw Ring, it's hard for them to get the impact of Ringu because they see it second, and so much imagery is borrowed. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate.
Damn, Jess.
Ringu is one.
That's a hell of a thing.
Ringu is one I really need to see.
I did too.
I don't know if the set's out of print yet.
The Arrow set?
Is it?
I don't know. I just got it like a month ago.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's
one of those, like, I've looked at buying, but I don't know if I'm going to be that into it enough to put the money out for it. Because even like the Ringu Arrow release is like $30. So.
Well, yeah. So you can buy the whole box for like $50 if you look around a bit. So at that point, if you're going to buy the $30 single disc, I'd say just.
I'm hoping like it'll pop up streaming somewhere where I can watch it like that. But
it was on Shudder like a year ago.
Ringu 2 is on Shudder. I'm like, well, I don't want to start there.
No, don't start there. Ringu 2 is my least favorite of the original trilogy.
Isn't there a big verse?
There's a lot of good stuff. Yeah, there is. There's also 2 Sadako films that are more recent. Actually, there's 3, I think, in the new, because they're not really a series. There's Sadako 3D, Sadako 3D 2, and another film called Sadako.
Yeah.
I would say that the new Sadako wanted to do things right. It fumbles pretty badly, but it does capture a lot of the feel of the original trilogy. The plot is kind of messy. Those 2 3D films are pretty bad. The second one is beautifully shot, though. And it was shot on some really incredible next generation 8K cameras. So it's incredibly lush. But the movie itself is kind of not great.
You think there's very little left to mine that we might get more foreign horror coming to Blu-ray? I mean, there's so much that just nobody's touched, but I get it. Like, a lot of people don't want to read.
Well, they could go back to the days of dubbing and doing it well.
Yeah.
High Tension is really well dubbed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and that was one that I didn't actually realize until I watched it at home. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, the structure.
What language is High Tension? Is that
French?
Okay.
French. That was the beginning of that French wave of like extreme horror.
Yeah. The structure of the French language is very similar to English as far as intonation. So you can pull that off. When you get to like Japanese, dubs are always going to look odd because the sentences are just longer or shorter for the same ideas, and it's just not going to work. I don't know. I actually like subtitles because I feel like it feels more authentic if they're speaking in their native tongue, and I'm the odd one, not them. Does that make sense?
I mean, there's a few releases of Let the Right One In. It's like one's not that good, but one's perfect, if I'm not mistaken.
What I've always found odd, though, like you said, it feels more authentic, is when they'll do a movie and it's set in like France and everybody's still speaking English, but there's a French accent. Why?
Yeah, don't do that.
That's a good point.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
I remember when Brotherhood of the Wolf came out, there was a dubbed version of that, and then there was the subbed version, and it was kind of a crapshoot because the packaging never really made it explicit what you were buying.
Yeah.
I love that film. That film no one ever talks about. It's not really.
Hell, they fucking dubbed Mad Max because a lot of us Americans didn't understand the Australian lingo.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's understandable. Some of the stuff like, man, I can look into it, but it's like, I'm having fun with that.
Did they also dub Crocodile Dundee?
I don't think they did.
That was a big hit.
That's not a knife.
That's a naughty knife.
That's a knife.
And who would have thought that Paul Hogan would have been married to that woman for 20 plus years?
That woman?
Linda. I can't pronounce that last name.
You should know her name, Bob. I am shocked at you.
He's actually a distant cousin of Hulk, isn't he?
Fuck no.
Paul Hogan, Hulk Hogan.
He hosted the Oscars one year. It was so bizarre.
What year was that, Jess?
So singularly?
Like early 90s or late.
Not
Hulk Hogan, Paul Hogan, not Hulk Hogan.
Oh,
who remembers that fucking Australian ad that they had at the Super Bowl that we thought it was going to be like a fucking
what's wrong with Jonathan?
Yeah,
I'm hearing, and the nominees for Best Picture are, brother.
I thought it was laughing at Joe Bob. Okay.
So
Paul Hogan hosts.
This
French
question is for
movie.
this question is for me, but I want it for everyone. This is Robusta actually is a subscriber as of today. Ooh. So we'll be happy to answer that. Favorite French horror film? To be honest with you, probably Frontiers.
Have I seen a French horror?
Ooh, Frontiers is good.
Yeah,
probably.
I've seen it. I don't know if
that was in that 8 Films to Die For, like year 3.
Yeah, but it was released separately from all the other ones. Like it was. Like, 2 weeks away from the rest of the selections. Yeah, I still have it. It's a damn good film.
It is. Martyrs is probably my favorite.
I love Martyrs, and I have my Canadian Blu-ray of it because it's the real version of the film.
Yeah.
But I find myself reaching for Frontiers a lot more than I reach for.
Well, the thing with Martyrs is you watch that film, it's effective pretty much one time. It's not a great rewatch movie, but that one time that you sit down and go through it.
It's kind of like a one and done thing.
That opening siege on the house, though, is actually my favorite thing. Everyone talks about the torture for the second half, but no, the shotgunning is like unbelievable.
And just at the end of the film, where the lady kills herself. It's what the hell did she say to her? You know, where you're just left with that question. You're like, what was it? So, American remake was terrible.
I did not. I refused.
I watched it through the home siege, and they screwed that up pretty well.
What's the name of the American remake?
Martyrs.
Just Martyrs. Yeah.
If you search for it, you're gonna find the American version.
Shouldn't it be titled Almost Martyrs? That would be better for the American film.
They remade that in
almost is an understatement at times.
They remade that and
hey Corey,
hop on, man.
Yeah, they remade that and Inside at the same time, and it wasn't just a question of it being bad; it was just so pointless. I mean,
did Inside got an American remake?
It did, and don't bother. It just,
I had no idea.
There was also there was a remake of Ills that came out under the title Them, which is what it translates to anyway. But a lot of people get suckered into thinking they're buying the original there too.
Yeah. I mean, there was really like 06, 07, there was like a wave of just awesome French horror movies.
It was ultra brutal, ultra violent.
Yeah.
And that's why
especially Inside.
That's why we have to keep our eyes open for where the hot spots are worldwide, because if we wait for America to always do it, we're going to be waiting. Too much business, not enough art.
Yeah.
So
no,
I guess France was the last time that kind of happened. Early 2000s, you got the Japanese wave, then the French wave shortly after. There really hasn't been one since then, has there?
No,
That the mainstream has paid attention to.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Like they caught fire like that did. I mean, High Tension going to theaters, dubbed, not remade. That's a pretty big deal.
But I think that the door's kind of closing on that being able to to happen ever again, because like now it's like something like Game Over or something like May the Devil Take You To. They're going to end up on streaming services to make the money back fast without
you're
risk. Right. So it's going to be tough. It's going to take a community to just embrace these films and tell their friends, hey, listen, if you're tired of not being able to see the shark in the silt water, that movie, why don't you take a role on this film from Russia?
It's funny because whenever I'll recommend a foreign movie, it's like, oh my god, that is amazing, how have I not heard of it? And I do think people would embrace them. I mean, we just had a Korean film that Best Picture. I mean, it can
amazing movie, by the way.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All his stuff is. Yeah, it's I guess Korea is probably as close as it gets, because I feel like a lot of people are paying attention to that. But
maybe more like South Korea. I don't think North Korea gives a fuck about us.
Yeah. I don't think there's a lot.
I can't wait until that wall comes out, because there's all kinds of crazy stuff that's being made on Super 8 in basements.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Lauren, breaking news. They just caught the murder hornets. They found the nest. It was it's like 20 miles away from Seattle. They're going to tear them all apart.
Oh, wow.
Are you sad that they're getting rid of your
friend? They've been attacking me all summer, those bastards.
As murder hornets?
How do we not have a sci-fi channel movie on the murder hornets yet?
It's in production. COVID actually had to
give it a year.
Give it a year. Well, that's what it'll be. It'll be COVID murder hornets. It'll be all of it.
Lauren, did Xavier Jins, the guy that directed this, did he do anything else?
He did a Masters of Horror episode, did he not? Or a
not that I recall.
Was it a Master of Horrors or was it Fear
Itself?
He might have done Fear Itself.
He did something for television, I remember. And did he do part of Three Extremes?
He did a movie called The Crucifixion. But I'll tell you, if you really want another really good one, The Divide, which is kind of a end of the world movie, but it's essentially a horror film. It's really Michael Bines in it. Milo Ventimiglia. It's a really good. There's like a new. It's kind of like, I don't know, a more theatrical version of Day After. Everybody's trapped in this basement and they go crazy from radiation poisoning, and it's pretty intense. Yeah, so he's done other stuff. He's done a few other movies, but that's his Frontiers was his best.
Him with that NBC of all praise. That's crazy.
Jacob Courtney. I can't say his name. How do you say his last name?
Corinthos.
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 Yeah, I see Jacob all the time.
Corinthians.
Yeah.
Corinthians. Anaconda.
He said that the French extreme films were better than the American torture stuff, and I do hold those in higher regard than the American torture porn. Like, I don't give them the same crap.
I hate torture porn. Hostels suck.
I hate it.
When in reality, the French stuff was probably more extreme. It was just framed around a decent story.
I just think we have to be very careful about that title, because first of all, by throwing the word porn in it, it's something that has been lobbed at our genre for decades as a pejorative. I don't like that phrase because of it, and I'll tell you what, a film like Saw 2, I think, is as good as a film of its time period coming out of America as we got. So to me, to equate that with pornography of any sort is disturbing. Now, if you're talking about something like Turistas, yeah, I get it. I get that it's a crappy film. It's a bad, from a very talented director, but it's a crappy film. But I think we should be very, very careful there. I think, I was just talking to Jay actually about this, because he just came to me and said, "Was it you?" I think that the abdominal, I think that both the Dr. Phibes movies are torture porn in every way. They just happen to be fun torture porn films. If you think of the end of the first film, come on, how can it not be? It's exactly Saw. I mean, so it's not even something new. I just don't like us. I don't like us choosing a term that's so obviously going to cause us headaches.
People started kind of throwing it on anything that was gory after a while, and I'm like, no, that's not torture porn. It's just an extreme horror movie. It depends. I had a girl break up with me over Hostel, so because I took her to the movie.
What a shitty movie to get broke up with over, man.
That
halfway
sucks.
through.
That's crazy.
Hostel is one of those films that would be a great short. If you just take the opening where they're going, sex safari, and they look down the halls and they see sex acts on both sides, and contrast that with the end when they're going hallway to hallway and seeing all the dismemberment going on, that's all you need. The rest of the film becomes very extraneous, but I think that is a strong concept, but it would work inside of a 15-minute container so well. As an hour and a half or an hour 40 movie, it doesn't really work.
No, it's just...
Did Eli Roth ever grow as a director? Do you think he got better?
I don't think he's a bad director.
No.
I think he just wants to do what he wants to do.
Yeah.
I actually think his later
He
stuff...
hasn't done anything in so long. I mean,
he did like Knock Knock, and I actually like The Green Inferno for that genre of film. I thought it was pretty good.
He did that house, that kid. Well, kids.
The house
movie.
with a clock in its walls, or whatever.
Yes,
Yep.
I was about to say house with laughing windows in them.
No, that's Ava Poopy.
Yes.
That's
the one
my
with Jack
favorite
Black
genre of all time.
Yeah, the best one that's not out yet on Blu-ray for sure.
No,
was the house with clocks the one with Jack Black? I'm kind of curious.
yes,
That's the one.
Yeah,
It's kind of like a Harry Potter knockoff in ways. Shit.
But
I thought it was better than that. Actually, I mean, I watched it with my nephew. It wasn't bad.
So I think he's actually gotten better with time, as far as
Well, I don't know. I think Cabin Fever is exactly what Cabin Fever wanted to be, and I think it's a very sure-footed debut.
I think it's a fine movie.
I think the problem was Tarantino, because remember when he started production on that film, Cabin Fever, David Lynch was the one who got him financing. And then Tarantino comes around and it sort of starts, I don't know, that kind of more self-indulgent, do whatever you feel kind of mentality. And I think you see that in Hostel. Because you might love Tarantino. I don't, but you might love Tarantino. But he is self-indulgent as all hell. And I think he got it. I think he got it into Roth's head that was okay.
Well, that only works for certain people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, listen. Green Inferno is exactly like Tarantino would have made Green Inferno if his cachet was not quite as powerful as it is. So I don't know. I don't like film that's just homage anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Well, it's just the fact that a film like Green Inferno was made in 2015 or whatever. It's just kind of a wild thought. The cannibal film, wave is long dead. People probably don't even realize that was a thing. There was all kinds of these movies made at one point.
I really couldn't get into that movie.
Although I do have a complaint about Green Inferno. Every time I look at this cover, all I see is Jack Sparrow.
Oh yeah.
I met her at Monster Mania. She doesn't speak any English, and seemed very what the hell is going on here? What is this?
This got me thinking. I know Nolan did talked about doing conventions and talking about vendor bread and shit, and I wanted to ask one question. Of all the people you met, that you had little expectations with, turned out to be the biggest surprise in your convention.
You saying positive surprises?
The person you had little expectations for, but turned out to be the nicest people on the planet.
Good experience.
There's a lot of that.
Okay.
So the first thing you should realize is I don't go to a convention and meet everyone there just because I've seen a film they're in. I just don't.
I understand.
A, it's too expensive, and B, I just don't have room on my walls for it if I wanted to do that.
I agree, Lauren. I'm with you.
But I will tell you that I'm I'm trying to think of what would be the best. I can tell you surprising things.
You can just give it.
I'll tell you one that, because I just think he gets bashed a lot, and I'm not a big Tom Savini fan. I know that sounds weird, right? But as an actor, I think he sucks. Sorry, Tom, if you're watching.
Damn.
Wow,
I do.
breaking news.
Yeah.
I do, and I think his special effects were good, but I think there was other people doing just as great work. It's just he got projects that let him show it off. I mean, if you look at The Exorcist, the age makeup on Max von Sydow is better than anything Tom Savini ever did. Period.
Yeah.
Full stop. I mean, the fact that eventually, Max von Sydow actually looked like, 30 years later, he actually looked like what the makeup had him look like 30 years earlier. That's kind of mind-blowing. But I met Savini at a showing of his Night of the Living Dead in Mount Ephraim, New Jersey, at a Exhumed Films showing. And I was standing outside the theater, waiting to go in. It was cold. And I was holding a lobby card of the original Friday the 13th. It's the shot of Brenda being thrown through the window. And Adrian's like, this. And Tom Savini gets out of a car down the street. No, he drove himself there. Walks across the street, nearly gets hit. Walks across the street, walks right up to the theater, stops, pivots, walks right up to me. I'm on the side of the building, right? He walks up and goes, "That photo. Do you know that that's me being pushed out that window?" I said, "No, I did not." And he goes, "Yeah, no one else would do it. So I just had Tasso throw me through the window. We just scored a regular window and we threw me through it."
Damn.
And he spent time out. He did not have to spend any time with me. He could have just walked inside where it was warm. And then he actually walked the line. And yeah, he was talking mostly to attractive girls. No question about it. And that's part of his reputation. But he came to me first because he saw the photo and he wanted to tell the story.
Yeah.
And you hear a lot of crap about him. And I just want to put it out that I've met him 3 times. I have always had a good experience with him. He's always been cool to me.
Yeah, Dead Pit went crazy on him at the passing gun of Hanson. But I was gonna
say most of the really positive stories about Savini are always he's not it's not usually when you've paid to meet him. It's like you just meet him, outside the convention in an elevator, something like you said. It's usually when you're in line waiting to get something signed, he's a bit more standoffish.
I've met him. I mean, I've been to a lot of conventions. I've probably seen him 20 times at least. I've never had a bad experience. I remember he did a short, or I think it was going to be a TV series or something called Chill Factor at one point, and I talked to him about that. And actually, this might be in some of your guys' neck of the woods, Riverside Drive-In in Vandergrift, PA. He comes down. Yeah, I go to that every year, not this year, obviously. And you can go and see where they shot the cemetery where they shot the original Night of the Living Dead. The Dawn of the Dead Mall is there. And they have this drive-in festival, and he just there. He's not booked or anything. Literally just there in front of me watching the movies. I think that was the year I saw The Fog playing with real fog outside.
Wow.
Yeah, you can't beat that experience.
That's nuts. That's pretty damn cool, by the way.
That's like Jaws on the beach in the summertime. They have. Yeah. You can float in, you rent these little tubies and you sit in them and you watch Jaws. It's cool. They have it.
Sorry, I know the thing is Jaws is the better film, but Jaws 2 is my Jaws. Sorry.
That's fine.
I love Jaws too. I love Jaws too.
3 and 4 are almost unwatchable.
They're bad.
Oh, they're definitely watchable.
That's it, but
they're watchable, but they're not.
Revenge is fun to watch just because it's why the hell is Michael Caine? He had to buy a new house.
3 is nuts. 3 is just so freaking weird, and the 3D is terrible.
Did any of you see 3D? Did Jaws 3D in the theater?
No. I wasn't even alive.
So Paramount.
Well, I was busy being
that was a Universal film, but they were using Paramount's projection system for the 3D. And what it was the projector cut the frame in half and actually had 2 exposures from slightly different lenses, right? Mm-hmm. And then they project it off the same frame of film into a box, which split the image in half and projected it from two very close angles in. But it was a box that you rented from Paramount. And Paramount didn't ship it with instructions. So if you were seeing a Paramount film, you were in pretty good shape. If you were seeing anything else, say Amityville 3D or especially Jaws 3D, you're probably not going to have a good experience, and you were going home with a massive headache, and the images never really congealed into one image. They were always kind of like,
especially with the shot,
Yeah.
just didn't even move a bit.
It was theater error. Then it wasn't just wasn't how the film was made, because you hear that a lot, that it was just horribly done 3D, gave people headaches.
well, I mean, again, I don't think they probably sent out instructions with the lenses either.
Which they should.
All I know is that the theater owners were out trying to figure out how to project the film properly with this device, which they didn't even have a way to it wasn't attached to the camera, the projector. Okay, you projected into it, but the problem is you'd lose so much light that it would darken the image massively. So they were all trying to figure out how to get it close enough. They couldn't move the projector; they're too big. So it was this big nightmare for them, and it was something like a $4 part they needed, but Paramount just didn't ship with instructions.
Shit. Insane.
Well, that's fun.
But the Friday the 13th 3D I've heard is fantastic.
Amazing.
If shown correctly.
Amazing.
If you can just find a 3D TV now.
Yeah, I don't think that'll still be the same than a 35 millimeter print of it. I'd love to see that in theaters properly.
Size matters in this case. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when all of this stuff is over and I fly back to Los Angeles, my friend has a 3D TV, and I'm dying to see it in 3D. I'm literally probably going down just to do that at this point, because I was never a big old school 3D fan personally. It just always gave me a migraine. But
yeah, me too. I remember one time they showed Gone with the Wind in 3D, which is like,
why?
that's why my grandma was obsessed with that. And I'm like,
see, I don't get it.
I'm like, why are they doing this?
You see, but I wouldn't have seen it because I don't give a damn.
Yeah, I was probably like, mid-90s.
Thank you for the laugh, Dan. I appreciate that.
Well, the thing is, like, I had a field sequential version of Friday 13th Part 3 that worked fine with the field sequential system, which you could buy for $25.
Mm-hmm. I have heard about this.
And
I've never had it explained to me.
It does not work on modern HD televisions. It only worked on traditional cathode ray boxes. So, I mean, if I still have the system and I have the movie, but I don't have a television to play it on. Now, I could pick one up probably fairly cheaply, but I have one movie I'm going to watch on it. Well, that's not true. I have Creature from the Black Lagoon in field sequential.
So what is it? Like, was it a format? Was it a box to hook to your TV?
So what it was it was interlaced frames.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that had different levels of gray in them, basically. Mm-hmm. So that there was a flicker effect that this system added to the image, and your brain would pick up, because you'd wear polarized lenses, and it would pick up the images separately, and your brain would actually do the work and combine the images in your head. It wasn't really that different than what happens in a theater with polarized 3D. It's just that the frame rate in a theater is way greater than on television or even modern televisions, really. And that's why you don't notice it in theaters. You don't need the additional equipment.
So was there like a special copy of Friday the 13th 3D that you'd buy for this?
Not legally, no.
Oh, gotcha.
But there was a UVD from Japan of it, and so people bootlegged off of that. And it worked perfectly. It was great. The problem was it wasn't like this was long before, of course, the 3D TV wave hit. So to buy the polarized glasses, you only had one company you were going to, and they were ungodly expensive. So like I had 3 pairs, but I wasn't going to buy 10 and have a party.
Yeah.
That was the limitation. Now they're saying that with frame rate, 8K television might hypothetically be able to do glassless 3D.
I've heard that. I don't want it though. Like 3D has always been such a gimmick. Like, I'm just kind of ready to move past it. It's okay, like once every 30 years or 20 years when it becomes popular for film, and they'll go in and they'll make a couple movies specifically for 3D, and then they'll remaster shit that's never supposed to have been in 3D and make it 3D, and then we can all forget about it again. But it's never going to be like a lasting thing.
Technology,
like you said, it's a gimmick. If it's made for the gimmick, 1 or 2 movies here and there, I think that's great. I want that stuff popping out at me. But if you're gonna just make a movie or convert it to 3D for no reason, then I could give a rat's ass about the in-depth look.
Have any of you seen Metal Storm?
Yes, Destruction of Garrettson. I had the poster in my bedroom back in the day.
Cheap as hell, but the 3D effects worked in the theater. Like they worked. The money shot is, of course, that ball with the spikes that gets thrown out the audience. It really looked. I mean, you were flinching. I mean, it was pretty great. Unfortunately, like Parasite was. People talk about Charles Band's Parasite. The 3D worked. It just wasn't being used to any advantage. It was mostly kind of depth, and it was an ugly looking film to begin with. So it just, I wouldn't go out of my way for that. Rottweiler is a good one to see in 3D if you get the chance. There is a 3D print that still circulates of that.
I think I've heard of that movie.
The Paul Naschy film?
No.
Oh, okay.
This is
it's about a killer iguana, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay.
No, it's about three dogs that escape from a military base and decide to attack a family. It's not a good film, but if you see it in 3D, it's fun. I think 3D has a place on the map. The place on the map is simply not Clash of the Titans.
It's on the title, wasn't it?
Or Wrath of the Titans.
Dogs of Hell.
Dogs of Hell, it was, I think, an alternative title to it.
Yes, that's what I meant. That's what I said.
You might be thinking of Zoltan, Hounds of Hell.
No, Zoltan. That's definitely a different film.
Yeah, I know. I meant, that's the Hounds of Hell. Yeah.
Yeah. Zoltan is not a good film, but I love it.
I like it too, I'll be honest. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I grew up because it was a television staple.
Yeah, it was. There were a lot of great TV movies from that era.
Yeah, like I got to tell you, if you talk about that whole 76 to 83, and then of course jump a few years ahead to Midnight Hour, and you can include that. There was so many I consider horror classics made for ABC. I don't know why that was happening, but it was happening. Don't Be Afraid of the Dark is, of course, like unbelievable. Yes. And that Warner Blu-ray,
I have it.
Warner Archives is great looking print of it. Bad Ronald. Holy hell.
Bad Ronald.
We reviewed that not too long ago. Yeah.
I've always wanted to see that because I thought it's so good.
Was Crawl Space made for TV?
The Klaus Kinski film?
No, I don't think so.
No, not that one. No. I'm thinking of something different then. I may have just mixed up titles.
There's a film called Devil's Triangle, which if you can find is it's cheesy, but it's wonderful. There was a ton of great films. Killdozer.
Yeah, that just came out to Blu-ray a week ago. Yeah.
I think Mike was the same way. It was like either straight to video or a TV movie or something.
Oh, Nico has us all beat. Nico, my man.
What is it, Nico?
Crowhaven Farm.
Oh wow, I haven't thought of that.
100%.
That name's familiar.
Also, the adaptation of Thomas Tryon's The Other that was made for television is amazing. That Twilight Time disc is still the way to go.
I have.
I love that movie. I love the novel. I love Thomas Tryon though.
How sad is it, by the way, that Twilight Time's gone?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a big sale. Yeah.
Yeah, I bought Night of Short Dolls because they were going. It was like $7.
I bought 8 heads in a duffel bag.
Oh, nice.
Joe Pesci.
Yeah, the Joe Pesci movie. Dude, I got to stop for Joe Pesci. You put Joe Pesci in something?
Joe Pesci's the man.
Oh, yes.
Jacob, not just the Pact ripped off Bad Ronald. How about The Boy ripped off Bad Ronald?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, spoiler, sorry. if you want to actually try and enjoy that piece of shit.
Did anybody watch The Boy too? What else?
I saw it in the theater.
Yeah, it's
No,
bad.
you
Oh
did.
my god, that hadn't been that bad.
Did you have a free pass or something? And
Oh well, no, I had the Regal Crown Club, so I pay $22 a month and I go to see as many movies as I want.
Mm. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
But did you like the first one?
I didn't know they had that.
enough that
No.
you went to?
No, I try and see everything that comes out in the genre that I can in theaters. I try not to be closed-minded. I know you guys probably have the exact opposite opinion of me because I'm always the downer on like region free, but that's the role I play.
That's Zombie's opinion, man.
Oh man, I won't lie, I was losing it at the end of that show last night. So
Why was that, Lauren?
because I think 3 hours is too long.
Really?
I think 2 hours is perfect length for region free. I think our first 2 hours of that show last night were great, and the third hour I felt we lost a lot of steam. And I don't think it's the personalities involved. I just think people get wary after 2 hours.
Mm.
I know I do.
Guys,
Why, the kids start falling asleep?
Yeah, I'm headed to bed right now. So thanks for having me on.
I hope you have nightmares, Joe.
there you
Nice
go, Bob.
meeting you.
Oh, fuck you. See you guys.
Be good.
Later.
Yeah, nice meeting you, man.
Same to you, Dan.
Yeah,
That
man,
was
I
fun.
miss going to the movies.
So, do you hate me the fact that I went to the movies a couple days ago?
I would go, but I don't live alone, so that's my problem. Different attitudes about what's going on, and I'm gonna try. Atlanta does have a drive-through, or a drive-in, and
A drive-through movie theater sounds
Drive-through
amazing.
movie.
Yes, there you
5
go.
minutes only.
Get your McRib. But no, I missed it. I had AMC and I'd see 3 movies pretty much every week. Didn't matter. I was the same way. If if that's all that's left to watch, I'll watch it. And I don't think theaters are going away. I really don't. I think they will rise again. It might
Next year.
Yeah, no, there's
The
there's
face
some-
of madness returns.
there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I know it doesn't
Hey,
feel like it a lot
Do you
of time.
think that Regal's Crown Club is going to exist when theaters come back up? Because you could, with the way the release schedule is going to be, you could
It's gonna be insane.
burn that $22 down, man.
So I think it has to, because I do think the future is going to be a subscription model. The problem is, like, we love movies, right? But your typical 9 to 5 welder and secretary living in Boise, okay, they
Yeah.
go to see 2 movies a year.
True.
Okay, so the theaters need to find a way to get them there more, and they don't make anything off the tickets anyway. They make all their money off concessions for the big studio stuff anyway.
$14 popcorn. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but you see, now I think there's a mistake there too. I think if the people who aren't going to do the plans, they should be selling packages so that you buy your ticket, a drink, and a small popcorn, and it comes
you go.
to $15.
Mhm.
Build the concession pricing in so that people go, well, if I bought them separately, and
Yeah.
what, it's not going to be just $7 for just one of it. I get both of it. I think there's something there. I do. I really.
They're going to have to get creative.
And I think better food, which a lot now are doing. I don't know how it's like where all of you guys are, but AMC, you've got the comfortable reclining seats, at least mine, and more dine-in type stuff, more Alamo style. I see that really expanding once things come back, where you can get a burger, Applebee's style food perhaps, and drinks, and there's ways. I don't think it's hopeless.
I think I was talking to a friend a while back, and I think you just reminded me, because I haven't thought about it since, but your Applebee's or your Ruby Tuesdays, why don't they partner with an AMC?
That would be like the best idea. I don't know why.
Ruby Tuesdays ain't going to partner with anybody.
Well, yeah, but you know what I'm saying. One of the kind of sports bar type of
or
chain.
friendlies or something. Like,
Yeah, I don't know about that. Ice cream in theaters might be a bad thing, but
yeah, but they got burgers and
Robert Long just made my day, because he's talking about don't go to sleep from 82. This is one of the things that really badly messed me up as a kid. Like, very little messed me up as a kid, and don't go to sleep, like, messed me up. It opens with, a car accident, and the one daughter doesn't get out of the car, and she burns to death on screen in a television movie. And then she haunts the family. And at the end, there's a thing of her as a flesh specter, she's there, but she's a dead version of her. And she's going up the banister as she climbs the stair with a pizza cutter. And that sounds ridiculous, but when you see it on screen, you're like, not okay. Not okay.
I've never seen it.
Great. It's a great film.
What is it called again, Lauren? It's a ABC.
Don't Go to Sleep.
Oh, Don't Go to Sleep, 1982. I'll check it out.
It's kind of forgotten.
It's probably on YouTube.
And look at this. Darren Burroughs says When Michael Calls is another good TV movie based on an excellent John Ferris novel.
Yep.
So, and of course, we intentionally didn't mention it, so someone Dark Knight of the Scarecrow.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I love the beginning and I love the end of that film. I think the middle's kind of a drag.
No,
but
70s, early 80s TV movies were just, some of them were so good. I mean, there were bad ones too. I don't want to say it's all gold, but there were some surprisingly excellent films. And it's funny when we did the trivia the other day, I never realized Exorcist 3, George C. Scott's wife is Jessica, and Let's Scare Jessica to Death. I never clicked.
What do you think?
Here's the thing that you mentioned Exorcist 3. The first time I seen it was actually this year because Christian Hannah Horror, Lauren knows, and he's like part of our community. He did a review on it, like 5 movies from like the 90s that you should watch. And I'm like, Exorcist 3. I was like, I never seen it. I watched it. I fucking love Exorcist 3. Exorcist 3 is amazing, man. I love it.
Legion is my favorite novel. and I was so worried about the movie before it came out. I was terrified. And there's things I would have liked from the novel to be in the film that are not, but I will say that like I came out so pleasantly surprised. I think in a very different way that Exorcist 3 is every bit the film that Exorcist is. It's just not apples to apples. It's an apples to pear kind of thing. But I think they're both unbelievably important works for the genre.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Has anybody watched Ninth Configuration, which Blatty also directed? I think that's actually his favorite novel that he did,
based on his novel Twinkle Twinkle Killer Kane. Yeah, absolutely. It came 2 years ago. It came out on Blu-ray. It's not a horror, but it's definitely an interest to horror fans because it's very strange. It's funny in a dark and off-putting way. It's intentionally kind of brutal, but without the violence you'd expect with brutality. It's like emotionally brutal. I love it. I think it's great. Now it's an acquired taste, but it's endlessly quotable too. So, there's a speech about trying to walk through a brick wall that is probably one of the best things that's ever been written for anything ever.
There's been a lot of films in recent years that almost could just be dark dramas. You could almost take, well, Hereditary is a good example because that didn't start out as a horror movie. It was just going to be, about a family, take out all the stuff. But stuff like Red, White, and Blue was a film a while back. Not a lot of people saw, and you could say it's not a horror movie, but it's pretty horrific in a very real world kind of way towards the end of it. And I don't know, I've really enjoyed that style lately.
So Jacob is calling out Nigel Neal's Woman in Black as the first horror film to spook him. Nigel Neal is just an incredible, incredible figure. I mean, everyone knows him either from Quatermass or from writing the original screenplay for Halloween 3 before it was watered down by being gored up into the film we know today. But Nigel,
look that up.
Amazing creator who was so ahead of his time. If he was alive today, I would be like really interested in what he would be doing with all the technology now, because I think now we can make his visions real. So, and yeah, Darren, Exorcist 3 is finally being respected the way it should. The problem is it has a numeral in its title. That's really the only thing that's ever held it back. If it was just a film called Legion, everyone would have been calling it a classic since day one. I believe that.
Well, how many people got to Exorcist 2 and thought, I don't need to see 3? Which is what I did for years.
Exorcist 2 is such a weird thing to me. Like, I keep watching the movie, and this is true. Like, about once a year, I watch the goddamn thing, trying to find something because I feel like I should like it. Like it's so bizarre, so weird. It's so, I kind of like films that go off the rails. Like I don't want that all the time, but I do enjoy a good film that gets out of the control of the creators.
Mhm.
And I can't do it with Exorcist 2. I just can't get there.
When James Earl Jones has his like bug thing on it,
the grasshopper cosplay.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of cocaine was involved in that film.
God.
Yeah, I didn't love it. I thought I might. I was just revisiting it for the first time in a long time, and I was like, I might like this. I know there's some people now that actually like it quite a bit, but I just didn't do it for me at all. And I think the jump in time between Legion coming out also kind of hurt it because that was 1990, I believe. So. Yeah. People just weren't paying attention as much at that time. I don't think I even saw it
Yeah, Morgan Creek didn't really know what to do with it, clearly.
Mm-hmm.
I remember their advertising campaign was just calling back to the original film, and they didn't try to tell people what the movie was about.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, they basically sold the film on the steps. Do you dare watch these steps again? Wait, that's not this movie at all.
Mm-hmm.
I have a interesting question for both of you guys. What are some of the movies that you're supposed to love? Maybe just a couple or whatever. And for whatever reason, they just never clicked with you.
Oh, I've got it.
Do you want to answer for me?
Don't say Aliens.
I would say one that I've gotten a lot of heat over. I don't hate the movie. I like it. But Hills Have Eyes, I actually think the remake's a lot better. I think it's quite disturbing. Amityville Horror, the first one never clicked with me when I was growing up you would think it would. Again, don't dislike the movie, but I really like 2. I think 2 is underrated. I have quite a few. Those are off the top of my head, though. I get a lot of heat, but I do like the original more than the Ryan Reynolds one. So I guess I'm not controversial.
Yeah. Well, 2 that come immediately to mind. They're both R's, which is interesting. Rosemary's Baby.
Never.
Sorry, kids. It's boring. It's a boring movie. I mean, the last 10 minutes are great.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome, but no. And the other one is, and everyone's about to turn on me here. Sorry, kids, Reanimator.
Oh, really?
I enjoy Reanimator, but I don't see it as like blasphemous that you don't like Reanimator.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's all right.
It's all right for what it is, but it's the fact that they so proudly blazoned Lovecraft's name above it. With some expectations if you're a fan. And then, can I just be honest? Like, it leans into cheese, and no one ever discusses that. Like, everyone takes it as a serious horror film, and it's like,
see, I never have that. I've always embraced the cheese that goes with the Reanimator and like the sequels.
It is outright cheese, and I don't mean cheese in a good way necessarily. It's a film that I can watch every 5 years and kind of go away and go, okay, I think I see what they see in it, but it's still not hitting me. But it's not even like Exorcist 2 level curiosity to me. I know why I'm not connecting with it.
Mm-hmm.
But Rosemary's Baby is one of those films that I know we're all supposed to love and respect. And I just look at it and I say, Mia, rush to make a full circle / Haunting of Julia, because that's the better film.
I think what it was with Rosemary's Baby is it was one of a few movies in particular that really changed movies. And I think I think it's a good film, but you had that Easy Rider that came out in the late 60s that they were trendsetters. And I think maybe that's why they're elevated for a lot of people. It's definitely not anywhere near my favorite horror film, but that was remade a while back, I believe. TV movie or miniseries, I believe. But yeah, not sacred ground for me either.
I think that's the sane way to look at it. And what's funny is that if you talk about Stuart Gordon doing Lovecraft, Dagon is actually my favorite of his adaptations. Now, the acting is an issue. The dubs are an issue.
That's one I need to see. So it's recommended.
Visually and plot wise, it actually wants to be Lovecraft, which is the difference. I like From Beyond is great, but it's the first 5 minutes of the story, and then we get this huge expanded story, which I like, but it all brings us back to exactly where the first 5 minutes anyway. Yeah. So it's kind of like from a storytelling point of view, and again, you know that I get stuck there, but it's not how I would go about that kind of story at all.
Help me out here. What is Dagon about?
So Dagon is unfortunately not based on the short story Dagon by H.P. Lovecraft. It's based on The Shadow over Innsmouth, a novella he wrote that most people consider one of his most important works. It's definitely his most action-oriented work. It's about a man who goes to a town called Innsmouth, which is a fishing community. And there's a lot of lore about a place called the Devil's Reef. And what he discovers is when he first shows up there, he notices there's a lot of deformities in the town. But as he stays longer and longer in this boarding house, he's discovering the deformities are not just abnormalities, and that the town has basically been breeding with some fish creatures that live out in the ocean.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm not paying $25 for that, but
I would definitely recommend renting it. Because again, the acting is pretty rough in places, and some of the decision to dub with non-English speakers who could kind of speak English is not a great choice. But it is written by Dennis Pauly, who wrote Reanimator and From Beyond, and I do recommend it wholeheartedly. Nico was asking, what's my take on the Dunwich Horror? So Lovecraft was very tough to adapt in the best circumstances, but in those early attempts, whether you're talking about Die Monster Die or The Haunted Palace, there just was a limitation to what they could do. And Dunwich Horror decided to kind of crunch time use a lot of optical lighting effects to try and evoke the Lovecraft's like otherworldliness. And it doesn't really work even in the best scenario. It's fun. It feels like someone who really knows Lovecraft wrote it, but also knew that they could never pull it off. It is fairly true to the original story, which is about, two twin brothers, one of which is not human, one is human. And I appreciate it. I don't know if I'd pay a premium price for some deluxe cleaned up edition of it, but I do like it. I do have it on DVD somewhere as a double pack with, I think, maybe Premature Burial was the other disc movie on that disc.
MGM, the double feature line. But they actually, and this one's kind of obscure, and I just got it on a budget set. They maybe 5 or 6 years ago, Dean Stockwell, who was back in it, and Jeffrey Combs did a TV movie adaptation of Dunwich Horror. I haven't seen it.
I have not aware of it. That's cool.
Yeah.
I'll look at it.
It actually. Hold on. I will. This is the set. It caught me out of nowhere because I'm like, oh wow, this is Houses of Hell. It's a 4-movie set. If you're lucky, you might be able to get it at. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It might be terrible, but Dean Stockwell's in it, so it's a good double feature, maybe.
Have you read the screenplay, Lance? The thing is, Mounds of Madness is great, but half of the story, half the novel, is a flashback to prehistory with the Shoggoths rising up against the old ones.
Thank you, Jacob. Sorry.
And what they tried to do, what Guillermo decided to do, was try and weave that throughout the whole screenplay. And I think it's going to be a very messy film if it ever gets made. Thankfully, no studio wants to do it, so it doesn't. Mounds of Madness is one of those things that I almost think would work better as a television show, even though I hate television. I just think you need that kind of room to work. That's true of a lot of Lovecraft, though. I feel a lot of Lovecraft would work better long form, and not Lovecraft Country. Which
I was about to say, I mean, we're probably not going to get a whole lot of Lovecraft thanks to that. I
don't object to Lovecraft Country at all. I object to it being made before we get actual adaptations of all the Lovecraft stories.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's going to be forever tied with that for at least a while.
Yeah. I mean, it's great that a lot of people now know Lovecraft existed that didn't know, but unfortunately their perception of him is now not necessarily the positive that it should be.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Say, how did the Cthulhu mythos never get some legitimate form?
It was on the real Ghostbusters.
Well, I stand corrected.
Cthulhu rose at the end of the episode, and they zapped him. Because
right now it's like underwater. That's the most Cthulhu I've seen on screen.
Yeah.
Well, there's the Lovecraft Society produced a short black and white film that pretends to be from the 20s.
The 2005 movie called Cthulhu. Yeah. That was cool, but like I want a big budget. Adaptation.
Well, just be careful though, because there is an independent gay romance film called Cthulhu.
I know. Yeah, I know. I found it in the mid-2000s.
And it's not horrible, but it's not Lovecraft either.
I was like, where is this thing's supposed to have tentacles, isn't it? It's somewhere.
I actually think that in a weird way, Ringu is very Lovecraftian.
Really?
Because there's in the original Japanese film, there's the whole thing about goblins and brine, and how Sadako was born because her mother, who was psychic, walked into the sea one day and returned pregnant. I mean, there's definitely a lot of classic weird fiction feel to it. But to your point too, like Lovecraft hasn't been adapted properly, mostly. Properly, pretty much at all. But Robert Chambers, King in Yellow, that is a massive property waiting to happen for someone.
Did any of you ever read the book Lurker in the Lobby, which was followed just so many movies that had Lovecraftian elements that you wouldn't even necessarily think of unless you really know the stories. It came out, it's probably been like a decade ago, but it's a really good read because you don't realize the influence on some of these movies that he was at that, were influenced by Lovecraft. I recommend that to anybody who can get a hold of it. It's a good reference guide.
But I'd like to see like Robert Price adapted. I'd like to see Lord Mackin adapted. I mean, and then I'd like modern people to get their chance. Elizabeth Massey needs to be adapted. Yeah. A Sin Eater needs to be a movie that is in multiplexes. We need. It's really frustrating to me. I know that Al will freak out if he's hearing me, but I don't want another Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. I don't want another Friday the 13th. Can I get an adaptation of, say, I don't know, a David Chow's short story? That would be nice. That would be good. Let's start there.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's coming. I mean, like I said, things are going to change, but it's not all necessarily for the worst.
Well, let me ask you this, Lauren. Mm-hmm. Since you're in the industry, all right, let's say that somebody wanted. Well, you're a published author, so this is what I'm getting at. Okay. So how hard would it be? Let's say somebody reads Bleak December, okay, and they want to make the film adaptation. Like, you don't get any say in those rights, do you? Or is that your publisher?
In the case of Bleak, I do. In the case of Blue Eel, it's a shared right, so there would be multiple parties involved. So every contract is different, and every publisher puts forward a contract saying your percentage of media rights, and it's very specific. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, if someone wanted to make a comic book of Blue Eel, they only need to talk to me. But if they wanted to make a film, well, they got to talk to Cutting Block and me.
That's what I'm saying. Does that add an extra layer of expense, time that's possibly causing these adaptations to not happen? Because it's a gamble in the first place, right? Like, people just aren't going to know the book unless it was some like, last year's #1 bestseller or whatever.
I think Hollywood just is disinterested in anything that they don't develop themselves. I think there's an executive producer in every house, every production house who wants to meet with a distributor and say, this is my thing. Because if that thing becomes the next big thing, that guy's career is on a trajectory, whereas they can go the next 25 years failing miserably and they'll still get work. Mm-hmm. But if you say, well, it was based on, I have the rights to this novel, and it hits, then it's like a Stephen King situation, whereas everyone just goes back to Stephen King and says, what else do you have? They don't go back to that executive. But if it's a screenwriter that no one knows, they assume the executive is more the one who brought it to them. So I think it's just the way Hollywood is designed. And I wish it wouldn't be that way. I mean, so I mentioned Thomas Tryon earlier, right? Well, I don't mean this as anything not negative, but Al, Jonathan, and Dan, have you ever heard of him before I mentioned him?
I haven't, no.
Okay. No. So this is a guy who, 2 of his novels were made into very well-known television movies back in the day. He was a force to be reckoned with. And then in the 90s, he tried to come back with a fairly mediocre novel, actually, in the horror genre. But I do like it. But he couldn't get off the ground because the business had changed. And if your name wasn't Stephen King, you weren't getting an adaptation. I mean, even someone like Dinar Koontz, if you think about it, like what, Phantoms? You know, I mean, as soon as it seemed like, oh, well, that's not going to work, they shut off the dial, despite the fact that the guy published, 30 novels that did very well.
Yeah.
Where's the John Saul adaptations?
Yes.
I'm not a huge Saul fan, but there's an audience ready for it. Where's the Robert McCammon?
Oh, yeah, really?
Well, it seems like so. However, your work's handled on screen could handle the perception that people are going to have you going forward. So, like Phantoms, like obviously that's not held in very high regard. And would you say that the book was a lot better?
I don't think that novels are automatically better than films. They're kind of separate things because they're different formats, and you can't directly adapt anything from one form to another. That's an illusion at best. I think there have been films that are better than their source novels, and there's a lot of novels that are more successful because film is, of course, a group art. It's a collaboration between anywhere from 16, I guess, the low end to like 300 people, or in the case of a Marvel film, a couple thousand. So you're going to tell me that, it's not more possible for one artist to keep their head around a project? I think it is. But it happens. I mean, there's a number of King adaptations that I think are better than the source novels. Haunting of Julia, I love the Straub novel, the Peter Straub novel, but I do think the film is better. Now he's a guy, even Peter Straub, besides his collaboration with Stephen King, which is what people tend to know him for, like Ghost Story, Haunting of Julia, he was there, it was happening, but where did Shadowland has not been adapted, Coco hasn't been adapted. These are classic Straub novels. Where are they? Hollywood's not looking to do it.
Kind of segues me into like my next thing is, all right, let's say one of your novels gets adapted. Let's keep playing this, okay? How much, is it going to be, are they going to be able to write Lauren a big fat check and then Lauren will go see it when it comes out? Or is it going to be, you would want X amount of creative control?
Well, there's a comment in the chat that's about this. So Jacob says he'll do a NC-17 release of Bleak December. I mean, it'd have to be an NC-17. Probably. If you're asking like what my involvement I'd want to have,
aside from just ungodly amounts of money, because
unless I'm making it myself, which I don't know that I'd want to do, I want nothing to do with it. I'd want them to write me a check, and I'd want to have a piece of the back end of it.
That actually really surprises me.
Well, so the problem is, are you going to tell me that a producer, after cutting a check to me, is going to take real input from me anyway? So no, why bang your head against the wall? I guess is my take on it. I would be at this point. I would take I'd take a bad adaptation. It wouldn't necessarily
just to see it kind of come to life, and
more people will watch a bad movie than will ever pick up a book.
Yeah.
It's just reality where we're at now. So I would almost be in a no-lose situation, because if they make a bad book, a bad movie, and anyone asks me about it, I go, well, if they'd stuck to the book, it would have been fine. But if they make a great film, no matter how closely they stick or not, I can be like, I'm really proud of that book. I think it's a fine adaptation. You can't really lose. But I'm not enough of a fool to think that Hollywood is ready to give me any kind of real control over anything. But I'll tell you what, like, I mean, if there's someone out there who wants to adapt one of my short stories and they honestly want to do it, you know, I'll do the Stephen King thing. Give me $1. You have a year, make a short film. I'm not going to be precious about my short stories. There's 36 of them that are published, you know. I mean,
you know what I want to see? I want to see that stork story. That's what I want.
The stork story?
I want to see that movie.
That wasn't published, though.
I know, but still, I want to see it. Storks, rated R.
So Lance is saying he'd rather Bleak December than Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Thank you, sir.
My wife is reading Bleak December right now, so I can't read it yet.
She may just divorce you. I'm just saying.
She hasn't said anything yet, so she said she won't tell me anything about it. I have to read it myself. So
I'm gonna want feedback from your wife.
Okay.
I'm going to. It's weird though, like Simon Clark is reading it at the moment, you know, and it's like that has me real nervous because that's an email I don't know if I want. Because I'm like, I look up to this guy a lot, and if he comes back and says, well, it didn't work for me, I'll be like, I don't need to do this ever again. It's too much work.
I can't imagine like showing a film to a childhood hero. Like I don't think I'd want to.
Tough, right?
You'd be like, you probably won't like it. You should
lie and tell me you love it.
That's the thing, though. I didn't like send him a copy or something. Like after the show, he's like, I just ordered your book. I'm like, oh.
He's got a lot to adapt to. Actually.
Is that the one you're most proud of?
Well, currently, yes. Blood Crazy is a right to just print money too.
Yeah, I've got that up there somewhere. He's
so good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Darkness Demands, I didn't like when I first read it. But now I think back to the story and I'm like, I think I'm wrong because it stuck with me this long.
Yeah, there've been a few. Like I know Brian Keene's had a few things adapted on Chiller back in the day when that was still a thing, but yeah, for the most part, it's just a lot of unmined stuff out there that is just sitting. You know,
it's ridiculous. And right now, you go to most of those authors and you say, like, let's make a deal. They're going to make a deal with you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, probably whatever you want, and you know, I mean, it's never a guarantee. You don't know script to page for sure, novel to screen, I should say. But yeah, I don't know. It's just there's so little creativity at times, and I don't know why they have to keep doing things the same way. But maybe it takes everything being blown up like it is right now for people to be more creative. I personally am dying to see the first great horror film that's made about this period of time in the world. Because I think, you know, sometime in the next decade, we're going to see that amazing quarantine era horror film, you know, like a Death Dream for Vietnam. And, you know, so yeah, it's a lot of great stories out there. It's a shame they don't grab anything.
Yeah, I almost feel like, you know, if you go back to the 60s, novels were being adapted all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And somewhere along the line, I think it was the 70s and the birth of the like new American auteur, the Spielberg, Landis class, they weren't interested in that. For whatever reason, that wasn't what they wanted. They wanted to work with screenwriters and they wanted to be involved, and it was market driven in a way it wasn't before. And I don't know, sometime in the 70s, things just changed. And you could see like someone like William Friedkin, like not understand the change. Like he was still going, no, but I want to do, you know.
Yeah.
You could see that so that's why you end up with The Guardian from him, because he was ill suited to that like original screenplay kind of world. He needed something a little bit meatier, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's just so many, and I don't understand. I mean, hey, nothing. Stephen King's a legend, but I feel like he's going to be decades in the ground, and we might be getting like the 6th remake of his stuff, and I hope that doesn't happen. I mean, you know, maybe a lot of these offers will be gone, and they finally will realize what genius there is out there from a Simon Clark or a,
I can't believe that there isn't an adaptation of any of Paul Tremblay's stuff happening right now. The guy has such heat on him that I just can't fathom why they're not doing it.
Yeah, I really don't have an answer. It doesn't make any sense. It would be very easy to get the rights to most of this, and yeah, I don't get it. But like once theaters come back, I'm really curious because I do think we'll be seeing more stuff like Relic on in a movie theater, which is a great thing. Because anything new in the last 20 years, even when it's excellent, something like May, it's kind of just forgotten. It really is. I mean, it's like maybe you got a year or two, and obviously I remember it.
They're also like not putting out like May coffee cups and May T-shirts.
Yeah,
and that's what I was saying earlier. Is that I think that the problem with Jason and Freddy and Leatherface is that the reason they keep making movies now is because NECA will keep buying the rights to make action figures.
Yeah,
and Terror Threads will license the T-shirts ad nauseum, and it's just that's not a good reason to make these things. I mean, there's no Paimon action figure out there, thankfully, because the moment that happens, we get a sequel to the Hereditary, and we don't want that.
Paimon in space.
I really don't want that.
I might want that. But...
See, Jonathan doesn't like Hereditary, so.
Oh yeah,
I don't like slow burn horror. I'm not saying it's bad, but a lot of like that like A24 stuff that's so popular right now. Like I don't even know if like The Lighthouse was released by A24, but like The Lighthouse, The Witch, Midsummer, Hereditary. I mean, I've watched all of them, and I just keep missing it. I guess I don't know.
I think even if you don't like those movies, they're discussion worthy, which is really nice. You're not going to have a very deep discussion about The Boy 2. I mean, it is.
No, and I'm not putting it on that level. It's just like I don't get it. I guess like I keep trying. I really do. Like,
yeah. No, it's not for everybody. I want to see all kinds of different horror. I don't want to see, I mean, hey, they're A24. I've seen some of their films that just completely missed the mark for me, but then there's others that are brilliant. I mean, they're definitely doing something different. I
like Green Room. That was one that was released by them. That was fun.
Absolutely. Death of Dick Long, if you want something very strange, is an interesting one.
There's a name to be born with, Richard Long.
There you go. Yes, that is a weird movie, but don't look it up and just watch it, and it's an experience.
My God, the worst thing I've ever seen, just like from like hearing one of these streams, is I was on Piz's Patreon stream one time, and somebody brought up The Greasy Strangler.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Jesus Christ. I've never hate watched a movie so hard in my life.
I didn't like it either, but I will tell you that movie has been quoted so many times on our show. Like anytime I say something somebody doesn't like, it's like bullshit artist. So it's not. I didn't get it. I was just like, man, this is so stupid.
I legit don't get that form of comedy. I'm like, I don't get it. Why? Like, why is it funny?
I think it's just really awkward humor. I don't know. But again, we quote it, so there's something there. I don't know what it is, and it is different. There's not 50 greasy stranglers out there, so
thank God.
I'm down for anything that I feel like is not conventional. Like I'm seeing an original piece from somebody. I'm usually nice to it. Again, I don't automatically like every A24 movie, but they're not just regurgitating the same old shit.
That's true. They did put out Tusk, so
yeah. Another one I didn't love, but you can't.
I tried real hard to love Tusk.
The biggest issue I thought with there's other issues, but one of the biggest issues is he gets turned so early into the movie, so it's like he's
like, shouldn't that have been the big reveal? Like,
yeah,
like that should have been really our last shot, right? As they bust in to save him, and
he's screwed. It's over. But it happens so early in the movie. It's like, okay. I mean, Michael Parks wrestling
Michael
him.
Parks is good. Lauren, go watch Red State, please. Please, please, please watch Red State.
Pay me. Lance Less is asking if we enjoyed 2018's Annihilation, and I think what he's getting at is, of course, it's based on a very, very, very good Jeff Vandermeer novel, so it is one of those rare adaptations. I like it. I think it's smaller feeling than the novel, which is a weird choice, but I like it. I think it's good. It's not a favorite, but I like it.
I like it. It's the same guy that did Ex Machina, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think I liked Ex Machina better, but
yeah, I think it's a really good movie. I enjoyed that. I got to see it in theater. I think that was unusual too, because that was like on Amazon the same day or something like that. But I saw it in a theater and I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I didn't see that one in theater. For whatever reason, it slipped through my fingers. And I remember thinking, like, this is what I always crow about should be out there, so I need to get there. And for whatever reason, it didn't last, or I didn't get there. I don't know.
It wasn't a super wide release. I remember I had.
What the hell, Steak Sauce? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I support the smaller movies. Lately, that's for me. That's what I come out enjoying the most, and nothing against the Marvel stuff. I mean, I know people love it, but goddamn, I've seen every version of Spider-Man I ever need to see at this point. I'm good. It's all out there. If I want to see the adventures of Peter Parker, just give me something new.
Yeah, well, I think the superhero thing is. I think people talked for years about superhero fatigue. I think we're actually there because I think realistically, Marvel just had nowhere to go once they did those last two Avengers films. Like, no one really cares now. There's not any energy behind seeing more. And DC has burnt people so many times that, yeah, they get excited when they see a Batman trailer, but it's just another Batman film, really, guys, you know?
Yeah, you're not going to blow my mind with it now. I mean, hey, I appreciate a great performance. Joaquin Phoenix was great in Joker, but
that's a bit different, though.
Yeah.
Taxi Driver?
Yeah. I was going to say, not really a superhero movie, but
talk radio.
Yeah. Jacob, I have seen The Platform, and it is pretty damn good.
Yeah, that's on the list. That's on my to-watch list.
That's got some rough dubbing, though, too.
Oh, yeah, it does, but I kind of got over it. Like, I was intrigued, like, immediately. So.
Yeah, no, I recommend that one, too.
The guy with the steak knife.
Yeah.
So I brought this.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we'll get... I mean, Lauren, do you think Indonesian horror can have the same kind of boom with just Americans today that, you know, Japanese horror did at the late 90s and into the 2000s? And...
So my honest answer is no.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it like this because it's going to sound like I'm virtue signaling, but the French culturally look like us. The Italians culturally look like us, and Indonesia is very different. And that's part of my appeal to me, to be honest with you. You have these absolutely stunning landscapes, a country that looks vibrant, that has a culture that isn't muddled by excess media yet. And they still have some kind of even they're an Islamic nation. However, they are also deeply entrenched in traditions that go back before Islam came to Indonesia. They have a vibrant music scene. I've discovered bands off soundtracks to their films that are just amazing bands, rock and roll bands.
Yeah.
And I just feel like it's going to take a lot more than it took for the European countries that had their moment in the sun here. And it's sad because the Japanese wave even wasn't really the Japanese movies that got popular.
It was the American remakes.
Yeah.
So there's like an intelligentsia class that decided that the Japanese films were great, and then American films adapted them badly, generally speaking.
Yeah, I'd hate to see an American remake of an Indonesian film. I think that's going to be, yeah, you won't recognize it anymore. But Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just answering Lance. Mystics in Bali is Indonesian.
Yeah.
It's a very traditional ghost story from their country about. Well, you probably know if you talk about it. If you like intestines and floating heads, you're gonna love it.
And you can get that. Well, it's probably out of print, but Mondo Macabro did. Or no, was it Mondo? Yeah, I think it was Mondo. Put that on DVD. So.
And a lot of copies of that were out, so you can probably find it used. I mean,
yeah,
if you can't find it new anymore, you can find it. You can find that. That's not as obscurity as far as. But I mean, listen. There's also the fact that Malaysia has a vibrant scene right now, but there it's very much pro-Islamic horror. I mean, hardcore. Like there are actually religious films that fall into the genre, which is fascinating, but it's going to be off-putting to some people. And of course, I've gone this far without saying Turkey.
Yeah.
Which Albert Metzi is probably the most important person working in horror film in the world right now, because he single-handedly turned the scene on fire. It influenced the look and feel of modern Turkish cinema. Turkish cinema used to be a joke in a big way, and
Turkish Star Wars.
He played a big role in turning that around, especially for the horror genre. The second series or Sikjin series is just, I can't even describe. Like when I watch those films, I feel like the first time I watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the first time I saw Halloween, it feels that fresh.
And you can see those on YouTube for anybody listening, so they are accessible.
I'd actually suggest, rather than start with the Sikjin films, though, go with Bedua the Curse, which is actually the 3 letters, the curse in its original language, but it is an amazing story, really well told with a great twist. And I'm not ruining anything by saying twist because you're not going to get it. But visually, they're just such effective films. It's just amazing.
A lot of people, I will say, loved Baskin, which did get a Blu-ray out here, which might have helped. So, yeah, no, there's Turkish horror. I love what I've seen. Not that I've seen everything by any means, but that if that's what it takes, hopefully these films can find a way to get out there. That's what I would love to see. I mean, I know magazines are basically dead, but that's what I would love to see if Fangoria.
I miss magazines. I used to all the time, man. The Fangoria Rue Morgue, but it's just not the same. Like I told Lauren, like I went to Monster Mania, and I bought like 50 Fangorias for like $400, and I got the one and where Lauren's in it, with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 in 1991, and it's just awesome, like it's just like, but they're not the same. Like Fangoria tried to come back, I think a couple of years ago, where I don't know. Like 4 issues a year for, I think, how much was it? $150 or $140? I don't know. Like
it was.
It's $60 for a 4-issue subscription.
Oh, it was 60. I thought it was more. I mean, but it's just not the same because movies are not the same. It's just the writing's different. I don't know.
I'm gonna sound like an asshole here because I am an asshole, but so there's some logic to the reason you're feeling the way you are. But no. I think there needs to be monster magazines for kids on the market. Fangoria was that for me. I caught the very tail end of Famous Monsters and a little bit of Monster World, which was 40's attempt to keep going. And then Fango hit. And Fango in its early days, when Bob Martin was still the editor, was very much a fanzine. Very much a fanzine. There was, the crazy kind of puns in their captions, and the letter, they'd print letters that were like, really love your magazine, dudes. Motley Crue rules, and they ran I don't know if you guys know this. In the back of the issue, after the proper classified ads, there was subscriber ads. When you subscribed, they gave you basically a Twitter line and they'd publish it. So it took like 6 months for it to show up. But if you wanted to scream out your love for something, you got to do it in your magazine because it was a community.
Yeah,
and then. When we get to like the Anthony Tampone era, there was this thing that happened that Anthony is a great guy. I mean, I was lucky enough to spend some time with him at World Horror one year, and then I was at a film festival where I met up with him and he actually remembered me, and it was like, that's cool. He's a great guy, and his stewardship was so passionate and wonderful. But at the same time, there was this big pressure to focus on special effects and makeup.
Mhm.
And the magazine basically became that. And I think that was a big mistake because we stopped getting subscriber ads. The look of the magazine changed. We went full color for the whole magazine rather than black and white. And then, the 6 pages of color in the middle. And the reason was because they wanted all those bloody photos and all those special effects photos. But something changed and it no longer felt like a fanzine anymore. It felt like kind of People magazine for horror fans, which was still very welcome, mind you. But we started to lose a little bit of that, ragged human hand feel that is so important to this genre.
Fangoria to me, so many of my favorite horror films I wouldn't have known about if it weren't for Fangoria. So it'll always have a special place in my heart. I know it evolved over the years, and but I still think that name has value. I wish they could find some way to keep it alive.
Somebody's gonna scoop it up for a song, and they're gonna put it on a film series or something. Like they'll do Fangoria Presents. That's what I'm saying. They're gonna do Fangoria Presents again, because you'd be dumb not to. If you could pick up the name for next to nothing, give it some time for the controversy to kind of blow over.
I was subscribed to them on YouTube, and they don't really do nothing on YouTube. They don't post nothing. They don't really.
They can't do anything right now.
So, Lance, it is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 cover with the family on it.
1990-ish, I think, or 89. I don't know.
I think you're right. I think it's 90. I'm writing a letter about Heathers, so it makes sense to me that it would be 90s.
How old was Lauren here?
I was in high school.
Huh.
And to think that's pretty awesome. The fact that,
and this is like the most heartwarming comment ever from Robusta. This show is my new horror magazine. Thank you, guys. Well, you know what? Again, it's about a community, so it's all about voices. So get yourself a webcam, get in here. Not tonight though, because we're going to close up in about 10 minutes. But no, listen, horror magazines. Also, the other thing that's amazing is like I remember opening up not just Fangoria. There was much more short-lived magazines as well. Whether you're talking about the original Gore Zone, which of course they relaunched badly, or there was one called Shock House that was out briefly, and you'd open up and there was ads for horror merchandise. And it wasn't like today where you could just go anywhere and find horror merch. You can go to Walmart and find Jason Voorhees action figures. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but again, obscurity breeds a certain amount of devotion. So you'd open up and there'd be a full color ad or a full page ad for Fantico Publications in New York. And they would have all these things listed and you'd be like, mind blown. Like, that exists? There's a novelization of Black Christmas? I need to order that now.
Yeah.
And it was just healthier. I mean, also, that's another thing I wanted to say. I'm sorry, that's a little scatterbrained. But when Fangoria got rid of their book reviews, I knew there was a problem.
Yeah.
The horror library, the horror library was really important to me. The Pen of Dr. Cyclops from Alex Gordon was really important because he was talking about all the AIP era stuff. And he would get great interviews too with people that he would dig up people from the 40s and literally give them that. There's a great Aquanetta interview in one issue that is just like someone thought enough to go and find her. She was doing ads for her husband's car dealership, but it's just, that stuff just drives me absolutely nuts because for a while it was all cylinders, and then that stuff started going away, and we started getting 3 issues covering the makeup effects of Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, no, it wasn't as diverse after a while, but I still remember little kids seeing that on the newsstands. And that sense of magic, seeing that cover and oh my God, what is this? And then flipping through, oh my God, what is this? I don't know if kids now just logging on to a website. I don't think you're going to get that same sense of magic. Again, just same thing with the theaters.
No.
It's not the same, I don't think.
The good days are done, sadly.
I don't know. Like I said, I try and be a little more optimistic about it. I think seeing more interesting films that don't cost $500 million at this point. That we,
some of these fan films are great. Have you seen Dan the Never Hike in the Snow or Never Hike Alone?
I liked Snow better.
It sucks. It was just shorter. It's like you want more. It's like they cut off. I'm like, that's it. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I liked Snow a lot. I didn't like the scene with Mama Voorhees.
That could have been left out.
Well, to me, that just felt like the concept of the scene was very fan filmish, which the rest of it was not.
Yeah. Although I will say again, fan films seem to be really popular right now. I know there are a few that are in production, but I don't know. I would say as a guy who's been a part of some films that didn't turn out very good, I think you're better off going for that next great original thing. Hey, look, I get it. We all love Jason Voorhees. It's cool to see him back, but I don't know. Go for that one that maybe you've got in your head that you can draw off maybe your personal experiences and try and make the next great American horror film. Nothing against the fan films. I'm not trying to.
No, Dan, you're right, because that goes back to what Lauren was saying. Like, he's sick of the big franchises.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I don't know. Go for that.
So it's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to be wrapping up here, but I think Steak Sauce wants to come in and kick Hal's ass, so I'm going to let that happen.
It's okay. Lauren's got my back.
I don't know, man. He's Jersey. You're not.
So what? We're close enough.
This is getting pretty tribal now. I don't know. So, Lance, I just wanted to address your comment. I'm not going to put it on screen because I really don't want it to end up in a thumbnail, but this show is just different than Region Free. Region Free is intentionally a panelist show that's going to be representative of the panel that's there. I try and bring my voice and my interest to the show, but it's within the framework of that show. So I don't look at it as like I'm never trying to upstage that show. That's ridiculous. I love that show. This is just an attempt to really bring together all the things that I love and hopefully find people who either share that or want to talk about the things that they love. Speaking of love, a man that's never experienced it.
What is love?
Stupid Al from Stupid Russia.
Hadaway. That is what love is.
Start out, fellas.
What are you doing, sir? You caught us just at the end of the show. Do you want to say something to Mr. Al?
I want to tell Al to cut the shit. Gimmick infringement does not go over.
I didn't do nothing, man. What are you yelling at me for?
How's the knee, man?
Knee's doing better. It still hurts, but
I thought you had surgery.
No, I don't. Didn't have.
Hey, you need to put that gopher on your Amazon wish list.
They're gonna cut your leg off, man.
Yeah, he calls surgery when he gets out of the stapler.
They're gonna cut his leg off.
Here's the thing. I live in America. Okay, and I'm we'll call myself an independent contractor for tax reasons, but I can't afford surgery. It's not happening. So basically,
do it yourself.
Over the next couple of days, just fashioning some kind of duct tape and cardboard contraption.
Oh man,
you're gonna want to go 2-ply on that car.
He's in the past, he's actually made a tourniquet out of dirty diapers. So there you go.
Yeah, well,
and you don't want to know where the diapers came from.
Oh man,
that was a long night of searching. I'll tell you what.
Oh sweet, I finally got 14.
Hey, so I just watched Haunt with Joe Bob Briggs.
That's what he showed tonight?
That was the first time. They got Hack-O-Lantern or some shit on now. I've never seen.
Wait, I'll watch it because I like him, but I might be doing a lot of fast forwarding.
Yeah, that's what I figure. It doesn't look good.
Hack-O-Lantern?
Yeah.
It's on Blu-ray.
Yeah, it is.
So,
that's the name. Oh man,
Haunt is a weird one to me because I like Haunt, but I don't love it. And everyone that says, "Oh, it's better than Hellfest," I'm like, no.
Yeah, I saw about 3 or 4 of your region free friends say that tonight, And I haven't seen Hellfest in a while. I have to watch it again probably tonight, and maybe render my verdict. But
we just did a live commentary for Hack-A-Lantern. I feel responsible for this. Joe Bob must have been watching.
Clearly.
Well,
Yeah, John, you
That's
should tell him
exactly what
no
happened.
copyright laws.
one of
You
our
copyrighted
Joe
off
Bobs
Jonathan.
is either Briggs or Tar Heel. So, both of them have just as much sway with Shudder.
Joe Bob Tar Heel's calling shots.
I want a Joe Bob Tar Heel show on YouTube.
Jesus Christ!
I'm not even kidding. I would watch the hell out
No,
of it.
I do too. That would be awesome.
Fuck.
Hey, John, are you guys still doing the 25th? S'mores indoors, October 25th?
25th.
That's Sunday.
It is, yeah.
Cool.
You're on there, Al. Like you're in the intro video. So you gotta be there.
I better be, dude.
Is
I
he
am
being
gonna be
chased
there.
by bees?
Al, you're also featured in our bumper for In Search of Darkness 2.
Thanks, guys.
So
I'll be there.
you're slowly
Al's,
becoming a S'mores Indoors mascot.
I'll be there, man. I'll be there.
That's funny. I'm not going to be there because I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, we're just
Steak,
watching-
what are you
watching
doing off the
Trick or
grill again, man? What the hell?
I don't know. I was thinking maybe tomorrow.
Oh, yes. About time, man.
Matinee, maybe. It depends on when I get my ass to bed tonight. 'Cause I do have to go to work tomorrow as long as my knee brace shows up. So,
and what did we learn? We're gonna sometimes just let the dollars go.
yeah. Or just don't jump.
Yeah, no fighting
I
at
told
work.
you, man. The
If
gopher.
If on the first jump you don't succeed, don't try again. I don't know.
Oh, man.
But I don't think it's the ACL now. I'm thinking maybe it's
You going meniscus?
meniscus or which is a little less frightening. But I don't know. Like it's still it buckles every now and again. Usually only like if I kind of forget and you try to like backstep or anything. I'll just
So moonwalking is right out.
yeah, unfortunately, I was
That's why you don't
Number 6.
fight Asians at work, Steak. You don't fight those Asians.
That got very specific very quickly.
Yeah, Jesus. I was number 6 moonwalker in all of New Jersey, but I'll never get to number 1 now. It's a damn shame.
But don't worry, the pole vaulting is still in your future.
It's supposed to be a horror show, not a comedy show. What's going on here, man?
It's a horror comedy. It's like my life.
Oh, man.
Hara.
All right, so on my channel, I am doing suggestions for what people should watch this Halloween season rather than the big dumb films that they watch every year. So, guys, why don't you take us out with what you are going to watch off the beaten path before this season's done? Let's start with Steak. You're going to be last. I'm going to tell you right now. So you have a little bit of time.
That's good.
Jonathan.
I'm not really gonna watch anything like off the beaten path. I have a triple feature set up for Halloween. We got some friends coming over. We're gonna do some drinking, do some grilling, watch some movies outside on the projector. We're gonna watch Trimmers, Ernest Scared Stupid, and Friday the 13th Part 6.
Dan, what's lined up?
I'm gonna try and watch some stuff I haven't seen, so I'm a little less specific. But I actually, as far as stuff I have seen, I really like the Shaw Brothers horror adaptations, and I've really wanted to watch those. I am having a Mario Bava night. Black Sunday is a must. I watched that there. So just Mario Bava in general. I don't think I'm gonna get through the whole filmography, but yeah.
I prefer Luigi Bava, honestly.
And if you're serious about going Shaw Brothers, do some Seeding of a Ghost. It's
Seeding of a Ghost is great.
Wonderfully wrong.
Oily Maniac. There's some
yeah.
Oily Maniac.
Oily Maniac. Yeah, I think
it's too close to the Greasy Strangler. I can't do it.
You might like that one a little bit more, but
and it's not Shaw Brothers, but throw some Centipede horror in there just to gross out the neighbors.
Oh God, yeah.
Al, what are you watching? That's no, who are we fooling? Al, just what are you watching?
Well, I'm gonna revisit. Well, I want to see that. Jacob recommended The Woman in Black. I seen some clips of it. It looks pretty good. I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna watch on Halloween night Halloween 1, followed by Halloween 2. I'm gonna revisit Suspiria 2018. Maybe the original, Alone in the Dark, 1982, Halloween 4, 5, and 6.
Dude, your week is packed.
That's a lot of time there, buddy.
Yeah. Well, Halloween 1 and 2 is just on Halloween night, but the rest of
Yeah.
And
Oh,
then the
steak,
25th,
steak?
S'mores indoors.
Oh, steak,
What do
my
you-
steak. What will you be
Yes.
watching?
Well,
Oh,
I'm
steak,
gonna
my
watch
steak.
Freddy Krueger the musical, Phantom of the Opera '89.
Freddy Krueger's musical.
So I like
It's better. It's better than Nightmare on Elm Street sequels. That's for damn sure.
Oh yeah, I'll give you that. Yeah.
Then again, I Maniac is better than any of the.
All right, I need y'all to shut the fuck up.
Madman Mars.
Oh, I might have to check that one out again now. Thanks for putting that in my head.
Yeah, of course, man.
The Psycho, all 4 Blu-ray coming in tomorrow, so that's
Is that not an
Nice.
awesome deal on that, by the way?
Nice.
I did $12.99.
Yeah, I got it on Prime Day, and I feel cheated because I was like, "Yeah, I got it for $12.99." Now everybody gets it for $12.99.
Yeah, it's fucking. So I'm like, I can't not get it. So, that's probably it. Honestly, I'm gonna go check out Hereditary for the first time. I started it the other night and then just felt like shit, so I shut it off. So,
How far did you get, sir?
literally like 5 minutes in. It was like I'm not gonna like not watch the movie. So, you know, I don't want to like spoil it by like half watching it. You know. So,
Do me a favor. Will you promise if I ask you to do something while you watch the movie?
we'll see.
Get some cosmic brownies from the grocery store, the ones that come in, and eat them during the film. You know what I'm talking about. Don't pretend. Everyone loves their cosmic brownie.
Yeah, I got cosmic brownies downstairs right now.
Oh, fuck.
For myself, I'm going to see the Exorcist tomorrow in a theater.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Absolutely, that's a sweet spot. And you know, I really want to get through my to be watched lists, which includes things like The Love Witch, which Stone Gassman gave me. So I'm going to try and be as adventurous as I can. And I have at least one obscurity that's been suggested to me. That's title has not been revealed yet. Just a stream with no title. So that's going to be my maybe going to jail moment.
Oh, okay. What the fuck is this stupid movie? It's just like they got fucking Docket or some shit playing. There's black chicks in her.
Dude, watch it.
Like, what the fuck? What is this?
Hang on, wait, Al. Or not Al. Ooh, I called you Al.
Oh my god.
Come on.
Steak, watch it. Go ahead and put it on. And there's actually a really good commentary over on the S'mores Indoors YouTube channel.
Going on
It
here.
goes along with Hack-A-Lantern. I'm not affiliated with those gentlemen in any way, but it was a fantastic commentary.
I'll do just that. Also, I'm watching Demons again because I haven't in a little while. So,
All right, gentlemen, it's been
boy.
a great night. Thank you all for joining me impromptu. I know that this disrupted your evening, but it was great having all of you here. Dan, John, Al, Steak, have a great rest of your weekend. If I don't speak to you personally before the holiday, have a great one. Be safe or don't be safe, whatever. Because
Thanks, man. You too.
Steak's pretty much going to do what Steak's going to do.
that's it.
And
Steak's got to do what a steak's got to do.
I think that's about all that needs to be said.
Crisp, flavorful fish sandwiches, golden brown and crunchy outside, and tender and juicy inside for a snack or a meal.
everybody's crazy. Papa goes the weasel. Everybody knows the weasel blows.
We have lots of pretty pickles waiting for you at the refreshment center. They're plump, tender, mouth-watering. Wouldn't one taste good right now?